Chapter 260 Jun Wuji, I Know Your Big Secret, 4,700 words, please subscribe. It's just that founding artifact of the sect, Lin Yuan had a slightly grave expression. Up to now, Lin Yuan had encountered the Taihao immortal instruments twice. The first time was during the grand ceremony of the ethereal void, where Lin Yuan and his parents went to Mount Morality Immortal to congratulate Mu Qinglu. During that period, Lin Yuan's yang spirit had annihilated the forces of the Black Gauze Archipelago, causing the plans of the Daoist Immortal sect to fail, which infuriated Mu Qinglu, who directly activated the Taihao immortal instrument and descended in incarnation upon the Eastern Sea Islands. The second time was not long ago when Lin Yuan, using his Yin God, battled with an incarnation of the mirror light for a while and felt the true power of the Taihao immortal mirror. Through these two encounters, Lin Yuan determined that the tier of Taihao immortal realm must surpass the refining void period. That is, above the refining void period, a treasure of the Unity Path stage. The Unity Path stage had already surpassed the limits of this world. Only in the legendary Spirit Realm did such mighty beings exist. Spirit Realm, Lin Yuan's expression sank into brief contemplation. There were rumors that the Daoist Immortal sect holds the ascension platform that leads from this world to the Spirit Realm. Successive Immortal sect leaders, after managing the Daoist Immortal sect for 10 to 20,000 years, would disappear without a trace, precisely through the ascension platform to the fabled Spirit Realm. Of course, such a claim had no basis and probably only the Immortal sect leader of the Daoist Immortal sect knew the truth. Perhaps the refinement void ghost king of the Ghost Palace of Netherworld, the lord of the blood demon of the blood demon sea, and the demon saint of the demon saint's nest also knew something. It's irrelevant. With just another 200 years to cultivate to the peak of the 6th rank, or even break through to the 7th rank, no secrets would be secrets before me. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. Now, he needed not pry into the secrets of the spirit realm or ascension. There was no significance in doing so. It was better to focus all his time on cultivation. First to become invincible under the heavens, then see. Daoist Immortal Sect. Sect Master Mu Qinglu sat aloft. Mu Mengting knelt below, his face pale and his expression filled with fear. He had never thought that after using the treasured symbol talisman of the ethereal refinement stage from the Mu family's collection, he still failed to kill Jun Dongjin. Not only had he failed to kill him, but the sect master noticed it immediately. Now, having expended an extremely precious symbol talisman of the ethereal refinement stage and Jun Dongjin not being dead meant that he, Mu Mengting, was not the sole candidate for the succession of the immortal sect. Mu Qinglu had other options, such as reusing Jun Dongjin. If that were the case, it would mean that Mu Mengting was completely out of favor with the sect master. Do you know where you went wrong? Mu Qinglu looked at Mu Mengting, his eyes showing disappointment. He had not expected Mu Mengting to lack such resolution and utterly devoid of tolerance. Sect master, I should not have acted against a fellow sect member. I shouldn't have acted against Jun Dongjin. Mu Mengting immediately admitted his mistake. Since Mu Qinglu had called him aside alone and personally mentioned the matter, Mu Mengting realized that his antics could not have gone undetected. If that was the case, it was better to openly admit his wrongdoing. Perhaps there was still a chance for things to turn around. After all, his relationship with Mu Qinglu was far from being as simple as that of a sect master and a disciple. Incorrect. You erred in that you acted too soon. And too hastily. Mu Qinglu looked at Mu Mengting and spoke indifferently. When he took over as the leader of the immortal sect, he too had used some tactics, so Mu Mengting's preemptive actions to eliminate competitors were not uncommon. It was what Mu Qinglu had left over from his own strategies. However, such actions required restraint. With Jun Dongjin being transferred away from Mount Morality Immortal and distanced from the epicenter of power, his abilities being decent and his distinction between public and private affairs clear, it was far more useful to let him live than to have him dead. Ah! Mu Mengting looked baffled. He originally thought that the sect master would chastise his actions, but instead, it seemed that the sect master thought he had been too hasty. When you reach the refining void period, you will realize how laughable those former struggles were. be it Jun Dongjin or anyone else. They are all pawns in your hands. Killing them is like weakening your own power, Mu Qinglu said calmly. This was also his greatest realization after stepping into the refining void period. From the perspective of an ancient saint, how ridiculous were some past actions? Having absolute power rendered everything subordinate. Mu Mengting's eyes widened. When Mu Qinglu mentioned, when you reach the refining void period, Mu Mengting trembled. What did the sect master mean? What was this about stepping into the refining void period? The order to transfer Dongjin to Vast Cliff Mountain, could you not discern that I had already chosen you as the next sect master? Mu Qinglu said blandly. Sect master? Mu Qinglu was extremely agitated in his mind. Indeed, when Jun Dongjin received the transfer order, he had indeed thought that Jun Dongjin had been eliminated from the list of candidates for sect master. But Mu Mengting could only speculate, never sure whether his thoughts were true or false. What if Jun Dongjin was only being sent away for a while and came back soon? Thus, for the sake of certainty, Mu Mengting decided to take a risky move. From his high seat, Mu Qinglu looked at Mu Mengting, whose emotions were overflowing, and sighed internally again. Mu Mengting really was not as good as Jun Dongjin. But who could blame Mu Mengting for being his offspring? Actually, with the centuries-old foundation of the Daoist Immortal sect, it made little difference who became the sect master. Even if Jun Dongjin became the sect master, he wouldn't be able to flatten the Blood Demon Sea, Nether Palace, or Demon Saint's Nest. Even if Mu Mengting was somewhat inferior, becoming the sect master wouldn't mean a significant reduction in the Daoist Immortal sect's power. The strong foundation of the Daoist Immortal sect persisted. Even if a pig became the sect master, as long as he possessed the cultivation of the refining void period and held the Taihao Immortal Mirror, he could still slaughter widely. Chapter 261 Jun Wuji, I know your big secret, 4,700 words, please subscribe, _2. In this world, the Daoist Immortal sect is a major force. Do you still want to kill Jun Dongjin? Mu Qinglu glanced at Mu Mengting and asked. No. Sect master, I can swear that I will not lay a hand on Jun Dongjin. Mu Mengting said without hesitation. As long as he could become an ancient saint of refined void and become the leader of the immortal sect. What would Jun Dongjin count for then? At this moment, Mu Mengting had vaguely understood the mentality that Mu Qinglu had mentioned. Even Jun Dongjin, whom he once regarded as a major threat, would eventually serve him and guard the great business of the immortal sect for him. In such a situation, Mu Mengting would rather see more talents like Jun Dongjin emerge. Why kill them? Wuji is Jun Dongjin's younger son, lacking the spirit root, and seldom leaves the cloud mist-blessed land, posing no threat to you. Mu Qinglu once again spoke. Sect master, you underestimate me too much. How could I, Mu Mengting, lay a hand on Wuji? Mu Mengting said immediately with a serious expression. And that was indeed the truth. Over the years, Mu Mengting had regarded Jun Dongjin, even Mu Lianer, Jun Xiaoyao, and Jun Zhilan as threats. He was wary even of the younger generation. But he had never regarded Wuji as a threat. A cripple without even a spirit root, what is there to be wary of? That's why Mu Mengting had never made any moves against Cloud Mist Blessed Land. Because it simply wasn't necessary. That's good then. Wuji is also pitiful. Mu Qinglu nodded. After all, he was Wuji's maternal grandfather. Knowing that Wuji had no spirit root since childhood, although no one dared to bully him, he was extremely sensitive inside. Otherwise, why would a normal person hide in the Cloud Mist Blessed Land and hardly ever come out in decades? As long as Wuji is there, the Cloud Mist Blessed Land is his, and no one can touch it. Upon hearing the implications from Mu Qinglu, Mu Mengting immediately assured. Since that is so, Mu Qinglu nodded slightly. Come with me, I will show you the biggest secret of our Daoist Immortal sect. The buffer zone between the barbarian wilderness and Central Earth, that mysterious refined void body cultivator. And recently, that mysterious ancient saint, who emanated the power of Taiyin and whose power was at the hollow void peak. These two seemingly out-of-nowhere ancient saints of refined void added another layer of pressure on Mu Qinglia's heart. The pressure here. It's not about the Daoist Immortal sect facing the risk of collapse or anything of that sort. But rather, he was worried that these ancient saints, together with those three old fellows, might stir up another great war in the central divine continent. Indeed, no matter the scale of the Great War, it would not affect the rule of the Daoist Immortal sect. Relying on Mount Morality Immortal and the Taihao Immortal Mirror, the sect was as solid as a rock. But it was annoying. Just as if there were originally only 3 flies flying around, and now a few more appeared. And battles at the ancient saint level could easily fracture the central divine continent, which the Daoist Immortal sect had long considered as their own dominion. The Daoist Immortal sect must soon have a second ancient saint of refined void. 2 ancient saints of refined void, one stationed in Mount Morality Immortal. One holding the Taihao Immortal realm, stepping out of the Immortal Mountain to sweep away any potential enemies. Vast Cliff Mountain. Jun Dongjin, Mu Lianer, Jun Xiaoyao, and Jun Jilan were gathered in a cave dwelling. We might not be able to return any time soon, Jun Dongjin sighed. He had come to realize that the sect master's decision to transfer him away from Mount Morality Immortal was to pave the way for Mu Mengting. That is to say, the future leader of the Daoist Immortal sect, the ancient saint, had already been decided. It would be Mu Mengting. The future of Jun Dongjin now needed to be determined by Mu Mengting. Father, Mu Lianer looked dejected. Mu Qinglu had ultimately chosen someone from the Mu family to be the sect master. This decision was somewhat expected, for even beings as elevated as the ancient saint of refined void cannot be utterly impartial, having human emotions. Abandoning Jun Dongjin to choose Mu Mengting. It was not a strange occurrence. It's good that Wu Ji did not come with us to endure these hardships. Jun Jilan spoke softly. Cloud mist blessed land had the effect of extending life. Wu Ji did not possess a spirit root, and body cultivation did not substantially increase lifespan. So, staying in cloud mist blessed land, Wu Ji could easily live for a few hundred years. If he were to consume any life-extending elixirs, perhaps he could live for a millennium. But if he had left cloud mist blessed land and come to this vast cliff mountain with them, his lifespan would definitely be sharply reduced, dropping to that of an ordinary person. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, 100 years had passed. Over these 100 years, the situation in Central Divine Continent gradually became unstable. Blood Demon Sea, Demon Saint's Nest, and Nether Palace conspired in secret, desiring to incite another great war in Central Divine Continent. The only disappointment for the Blood Demon Sea, Demon Saint's Nest, and Nether Palace was the 2 mysterious ancient saints who had once appeared. One was an ancient saint of body cultivation. The other was an ancient saint of the power of Taiyin. They had not shown themselves again. If they could ally with these 2 ancient saints, their chances of inciting a great war in Central Divine Continent would greatly increase. Cloud Mist Blessed Land. Cultivation Chamber. Finally, Lin Yuan was seated cross-legged, a smile appearing on his face. Over 100 years, Lin Yuan, apart from routinely practicing enlightenment, had been attempting to thoroughly understand the essential nature of that physical body divine ability, blood rebirth. This physical body divine ability was extremely complex and involved many aspects, and even though Lin Yuan possessed against heaven's understanding, it had taken him 100 years to barely grasp it. With this, even if I return to the main world, I can use this divine skill. Lin Yuan's mind was pleased. Blood rebirth had miraculous effects for preserving life, and naturally, the more such methods, the better. It's just a pity that this divine skill cannot be widely disseminated. It will operate differently according to each individual's body constitution. I spent 100 years using my main world physical body as a template, and the blood rebirth techniques that I've comprehended can only be applied to the physical bodies in the main world. Chapter 262 Jun Wuji, I know your big secret, 4,700 words, please subscribe, _3. Lin Yuan's expression held a tinge of regret. He had originally planned to sell this divine skill to the goddess of wisdom, but it now seemed unfeasible. Although Lin Yuan felt some disappointment, he quickly adjusted his mindset. The higher the level and the more powerful the divine gift, the greater its restrictions. In the main world universe Starry Sky, some special secret technique heritages possess uniqueness. That is to say, in the same era, only one life can master this kind of secret technique heritage. This is an ironclad rule of the main world. Even if you have fully comprehended the secret technique heritage, you still cannot use it. Blood Demon Sea. The Blood Demon Master sat on an island deep within. After more than 100,000 years, I can finally stir up a great war in the central divine continent again. The Blood Demon Master's expression was one of excitement. 120,000 years ago, he had instigated a great war in the central divine continent alongside the demon saints Nest and Nether Palace. However, he was utterly defeated at the time and had only just recovered over the past few thousand years. Daoist Immortal sect occupying the Ascension platform has forced us to remain in this realm, the Blood Demon Master muttered to himself. Master! At this moment, a blood-colored figure condensed above the Blood Demon Sea and bowed towards the Blood Demon Master. The central divine continent is filled with formations laid by the Daoist Immortal sect. If we want to enter the central divine continent with minimal losses, we need to ascertain the specific locations of these formations and other details. The blood-colored figure spoke softly. What is your plan? The Blood Demon Master went straight to the point. There are not many in the Daoist Immortal sect who are privy to these formations, one of them being Jun Dongjin. The blood-colored figure implied meaningfully. It has been no secret that Jun Dongjin was assigned to Vast Cliff Mountain over the last century. The next sect master of the Daoist Immortal sect was almost certainly going to be Mu Mengting. Jun Dongjin had already become an expendable piece for the Daoist Immortal sect. Subordinates believe that Jun Dongjin can be won over. If he can be made to serve us, invading the central divine continent would be much easier. The blood-colored figure continued. Indeed. The Blood Demon Master nodded slightly. He could guess that Jun Dongjin probably harbored deep resentment towards the Daoist Immortal sect. Now was the right time to win him over. But one thing must be kept in mind. Jun Dongjin cannot be directly won over. Surely the Daoist Immortal sect has laid plans near Vast Cliff Mountain. The Blood Demon Master spoke up. So the Master wants to, the blood-colored figure inquired softly. Approach Jun Dongjin's young son, Jun Wuji. Then, through Jun Wuji, we can lure Jun Dongjin without fail and avoid the detection of any abnormalities by the Daoist Immortal sect. The Blood Demon Master put forth. Master is wise. The blood-colored figure, after pondering for a moment, was filled with admiration. Directly winning over Jun Dongjin indeed bore great risks. Jun Dongjin, having once been a high-ranking official of the Daoist Immortal sect, would undoubtedly still be protected by many means, even though he was no longer in favor. By attempting to win over Jun Dongjin, they would essentially be informing the Daoist Immortal sect of their intentions. On the contrary, Jun Dongjin's son, Wuji, held much less prominence. Moreover, Cloud Mist Blessed Land was located right next to the Daoist Immortal sect. Hidden in plain sight applied here, it was likely that the Daoist Immortal sect would never suspect their interest in Wuji. Remember, when dealing with Jun Wuji, never use force. We must threaten or promise great wealth. The Blood Demon Master reminded. At the same time, he opened his palm and a blood-red crystal appeared. Carrying this object will allow you to temporarily evade the surveillance of the Taihao Immortal Mirror. The Blood Demon Master declared. After fighting with the Daoist Immortal sect numerous times over hundreds of thousands of years, the Blood Demon Master had naturally accumulated some measures against the Daoist Immortal sect, especially that Taihao Immortal Mirror. However, the means of evading the Taihao Immortal Mirror's surveillance came at a great cost to the Blood Demon Master. And there were numerous limitations. It couldn't be widely disseminated. Cloud Mist Blessed Land. At the top of the mountain, within a pavilion, Lin Yuan lay in a chaise lounge, leisurely basking in the sun. You may leave. Lin Yuan waved his hand. Yes. Chunhua and Chuyue bowed and exited. Time passed unknowingly. In the shadow of the pavilion, a blood-colored figure appeared soundlessly. Jun Wuji. The blood-colored figure approached Lin Yuan, voice hoarse and deep. I know your great secret. The blood-colored figure gazed at Jun Wuji intently. Great secret? Lin Yuan was momentarily startled. He had already detected the presence of the blood-colored figure. The ability to infiltrate Central Divine Continent and Cloud Mist-blessed land came from a special aura exuding from the figure's body. Originally, Lin Yuan wanted to see if the blood-colored figure's intrusion was due to a specific matter. But hearing the figure openly claim to know his great secret, he couldn't help but be surprised. Great secret? Which great secret do you refer to? Lin Yuan asked solemnly. Which great secret? The blood-colored figure was somewhat confused. Could it be that this Jun Wuji had many secrets? And they had to ask about which great secret? Chapter 263 Taiyang Ancient Saint, Standing Tall and Upright, please subscribe. Wuji, are you joking? What great secret are you talking about? The blood-colored figure let out a cold laugh, feeling that Wuji was being pretentious. He had been ordered by the master of the Blood Demon Sea to cozy up to Wuji, aiming to win over Jun Dongjin, a former high-ranking member of the Daoist Immortal sect, through Wuji. Having been abandoned by the Daoist Immortal sect, Jun Dongjin must be harboring resentments. With a sufficiently attractive offer from the Blood Demon Sea, the probability of success was high. To ensure Jun Dongjin's complete allegiance, there must be no coercion in winning over Wuji. Otherwise, how could Jun Dongjin not harbor mistrust when he sees the Blood Demon Sea treating his youngest son in such a manner? Coercion was not an option. Therefore, they could only promise significant benefits or engage in semi-threatening tactics. The blood-colored figure, prior to his infiltration into the Central Divine Continent, had meticulously reviewed all the intelligence related to Wuji. He did in fact unearth a secret concerning Wuji. I really want to know what this great secret is, Lin Yuan said earnestly. His own secrets were far too numerous, and he wasn't certain which one the blood-colored figure was referring to at the moment. Was it from 100 or 200 years ago when he casually annihilated the hidden operatives of the Daoist Immortal sect in the Black Gauze archipelago, over a dozen Mahayana heavenly monarchs and more than 50 nascent soul true monarchs? Or was it his ascension to the realm of ancient saint in body cultivation, unheard of in the Central Divine Continent for tens of thousands of years, and how he had crushed the great emperor of the demon saints' nest, who was said to rival ancient saints, underfoot several times? Or perhaps it was about him, in the guise of the Taiyin primordial spirit, battling the Daoist Immortal sect master Mu Qinglu in the Nine Heavens, escaping unscathed in the end? Additionally, there was the master Yuanyang from the East Sea, who was not the half-step ancient saint the world believed he was. Humph! The blood-colored figure saw that Lin Yuan seemed truly unaware. So, he decided to offer a hint. Wuji, I assume you're not at the golden core stage in body cultivation, the blood-colored figure whispered. Lin Yuan looked squarely at this blood-colored figure who he deemed less than an ant in his eyes. 20 years ago, among the cultivation resources you had your subordinates purchase from outside, there were ancient hidden flowers. Those are cultivation resources needed by body cultivators at the nascent soul stage. Your realm in body cultivation must have already reached the nascent soul stage, the blood-colored figure spoke confidently, holding a winning hand. This was his trump card for threatening Wuji. In just a short 100 to 200 years, Wuji had advanced from being a cripple to the nascent soul stage in body cultivation. Such body cultivation talent meant that stepping into the divinity transformation stage would pose no issues in the future. If this revelation had occurred over 100 years ago, it wouldn't have been a problem, but now, with Wuji's parents assigned to Vast Cliff Mountain, it was akin to losing their backing in the Daoist Immortal sect. Moreover, with Mu Mengting's rise to power, if he learned of a rival's son possessing such potential, wouldn't he harbor other thoughts? And this was the blood-colored figure's biggest bargaining chip. It was information sourced from within the Daoist Immortal sect, and it could also provoke Wuji's resentment towards Mu Mengting. Several gains in one fell swoop. Oh, Lin Yuan was expressionless. He had thought that the blood-colored figure really discovered some significant secret. Turned out it was about this matter. Lin Yuan indeed had the habit of instructing his subordinates to periodically purchase cultivation resources from the outside. But that was for show for outsiders. As for the ancient hidden flowers mentioned by the blood-colored figure, Chuyue must have bought them casually. After speaking, the blood-colored figure, who had been full of anticipation and wanted to see Wuji's face contorted with fear, was expecting a panic at the revelation of his secret and possibly even the emergence of a thought to silence him with murder. All of these were within the blood-colored figure's expectations. He even had prepared a corresponding attitude to respond. But to his disappointment, he saw no change of expression on Wuji's face. How could that be? The blood-colored figure's thoughts were in disarray. Is there some other secret? Lin Yuan asked patiently. Isn't this secret significant enough? The blood-colored figure's tone rose a few notches as he spoke. Hiding the strength of a nascent soul-stage body cultivator, once exposed, would inevitably draw the attention of Mu Mengting. What would happen then, no one knew. The blood-colored figure's original plan was to leverage this secret to manipulate Wuji. Wuji, as long as you agree to work for us, Mu Mengting won't be able to harm you and my master will grant you a lifespan far exceeding those of cultivators, the blood-colored figure hurriedly continued when he sensed the situation unfolding unfavorably. To win over Wuji, threats alone weren't enough. Significant benefits must also be promised. The great reward the blood-colored figure could offer was longevity. As is well known, the lifespan of body cultivators is much shorter compared to that of cultivators. However, the master of the blood demon sea could, through his own methods, transform Wuji into a blood godchild. Bound to the blood demon sea, blood godchild's lifespan would be terrifyingly extended. Moreover, the life and death of a blood godchild would rest upon a single thought of the master of the blood demon sea. If Wuji became a blood godchild, he would be completely integrated into the blood demon sea, unable even to betray it if he wanted. It seems I was overthinking. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. He had been aware of the blood-colored figure's affiliation with the blood demon sea. While his aura might deceive others, it couldn't fool Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan initially thought that the blood demon sea might actually know something. Now, it seemed he was the one overthinking. Even the nearby Daoist Immortal sect had not noticed his true identity. The blood demon sea, far to the north of the divine continent, could actually do very little. Let's see what the master of the blood demon sea is really up to. Lin Yuan's gaze rested on the blood-colored figure. The reason he had been conversing with the blood-colored figure was because he was worried that the figure might genuinely know something. Now that it was certain the other party understood nothing at all. Chapter 264 Taiyang Ancient Saint, Standing Tall and Upright, please subscribe. _2. He naturally planned to take direct action. The crimson figure felt puzzled upon hearing this. But the next moment, the crimson figure felt his consciousness rapidly descending. Then, streaks of blood light exploded on his body. These were clearly the crimson figure's life-preserving measures. Daring to infiltrate the central divine continent, infiltrating cloud mist-blessed land. How could the crimson figure not have any trump cards? However, all the trump cards, all the life-preserving measures, even the crimson crystal bestowed by the blood demon lord, all rapidly collapsed. In the final moment where the crimson figure's consciousness completely sank, his gaze towards Lin Yuan filled with endless horror. Wrong. He was wrong. The blood demon lord was wrong too. Everyone in the world was mistaken. Jun Wuji, whom they regarded as easy prey, was not as simple as he appeared on the surface. Even the crimson crystal bestowed by the blood demon lord could not withstand a moment. He, Jun Wuji, was at least at the level of an ancient saint. A few breaths later, Lin Yuan had finished browsing through the memories of the crimson figure. So he was planning to provoke a war in central divine continent. Lin Yuan roughly understood the blood demon lord scheme. Blood demon sea, demon saint's nest, nether palace, Why do these ancient refined void ancient saints repeatedly want to initiate a major battle in the world of immortal cultivation? Lin Yuan looked thoughtful. With the Taihao immortal mirror stationed by Daoist immortal sect in central divine continent, no matter how great the battle, it couldn't harm its foundation. Blood Demon C. The Blood Demon Lord, sitting on a small island deep inside, suddenly opened his eyes. Dead? Died so quickly? The Blood Demon Lord found it hard to believe. With the fallbacks he had placed in the Crimson Figure, even if truly discovered by the Daoist immortal sect, he should have been able to resist for a while. Could it be that Mu Qinglu took action with the Taihao immortal realm in hand? The Blood Demon Lord could only think in this direction. Cloud Mist Blessed Land. Lin Yuan was still lying on the lounge chair. After dealing with the Crimson Figure, Lin Yuan began pondering on one issue. My current strength. After 100 years of cultivation, aside from mastering the physical body divine ability Blood Rebirth, in the martial Tao, Lin Yuan also made significant progress, having advanced the martial Tao cultivation system to the 6th rank, 11th level. In the main world and immortal Tao world, the 6th rank corresponds to the refining void period. The refining void period further divides into entering void realm, hollow void realm, refining void realm. Entering void realm corresponds with 6th rank 1st to 3rd stage. Hollow void realm corresponds with 6th rank 4th to 6th stage. Void refinement realm corresponds with 6th rank 7th to 9th stage. Lin Yuan was already at the 6th rank 11th stage, and although he had not reached the 6th rank peak, his realm strength had already surpassed the limits of the refining void period. Perhaps he was still not comparable to the Dao integration period above the refining void period, but the difference was not very large, at least much stronger than the peak of the refining void period's void refinement realm. 6th rank peak. Lin Yuan's expression was contemplative. 6th rank 12th stage was not difficult for him. In as few as 10 to 20 years, or as many as 50 to 60 years, he could step into it. Lin Yuan was thinking about how to step into the 7th rank. In both the main world and the immortal Tao world, the transition from 6th rank to 7th rank, as well as from refining void to Dao integration, represented a significant threshold. In the main world's Qikuan star domain, with 120,000 life planets, accumulating over thousands to tens of thousands of years, the number of 6th rank fallen star warriors exceeded 100,000. But for the 7th rank, even counting the 3 senior brothers of the Qikuan main star, the number of 7th rank evolvers would not exceed 100. Even on the so-called meat grinder of the battlefields of different races, a 7th rank evolver could lead one side, becoming a marquis or a king. Daoist immortal sect. In the deepest part of the Mount Morality secret realm, a sudden surge of vast aura flowed out. Within the secret realm, a look of joy emerged on Mu Mengting's face. Refining void period, this is the refining void period, this is the ancient saint. Mu Mengting, feeling his mana completely transformed within, was brimming with ambitious dreams. Mu Mengting also had this day. He also had the day to become an ancient saint. Sect Master. Mu Mengting took a deep breath. He calmed the excitement in his heart. Stepping out of the secret realm, he respectfully addressed Mu Qinglu. Although now he too was an ancient saint of refined void, Mu Mengting knew that he was still far behind Sect Master Mu Qinglu. This gap did not stem from strength, but from that founding artifact of the sect, the Taihao Immortal Mirror. Let alone the fact that Mu Mengting was just entering the refining void period, even if he stepped into the peak of the void refinement realm, deep in Mount Morality Immortal facing Mu Qinglu who was refining the Taihao Immortal Mirror, he would instantly be suppressed. The Taihao Immortal Mirror was not only a powerful immortal artifact, but it was also the hub of the entire Mount Morality Immortal. Whoever possessed the Taihao Immortal Mirror controlled the countless formation methods arranged over tens of thousands of years in Mount Morality Immortal. Rise. Mu Qinglu looked at Mu Mengting, a smile appearing on his face. Although he had long known that with Mu Mengting's talents, stepping into the refining void period with the resources of the Daoist Immortal sect wasn't an issue. But at this moment Mu Qinglu still breathed a sigh of relief. The two settled down. Mu Qinglu then spoke to Mu Mengting about the next plans. With you presiding over the Immortal sect, I plan to take the Taihao Immortal Mirror and go out for a while. It's been too long, and too many people have forgotten why my Daoist Immortal sect can control the central divine continent. Mu Qinglia's face showed a hint of coldness. Over the past century, he was not unaware of the movements of Nether Palace, Blood Demon Sea, and Demon Saint's Nest. He simply ignored them temporarily to protect Mu Mengting's path. Now that Mu Mengting had stepped into refining void, with him anchoring the Immortal sect, Mu Qinglu could go out with peace of mind. Although the Daoist Immortal sect had countless formations for protection, if there were no ancient saints presiding, being attacked by other refined void ancient saints would come at a great cost. This was also why, these past years, his own essence had always presided in Mount Morality Immortal. Chapter 265 Taiyang Ancient Saint, Standing Tall and Upright, please subscribe. _3. As long as he dared to leave Mount Morality Immortal with his true form. Whether he planned to confront the Blood Demon Sea or the Demon Saint's Nest of the Nether Palace, the other two sides would certainly strike against Mount Morality Immortal. But now that threat was no longer present. With Mu Mengting, an ancient saint, sitting in the Immortal Mountain, even if 3 or 5 ancient saints besieged it, they wouldn't be able to shake the foundation of the Daoist Immortal sect. Thus, Mu Qinglu could take action freely and restore the prestigious name of the Daoist Immortal sect above all beings. Sectmaster, which side do you plan to move against first? Mu Mengting asked in a low voice. Which side? Mu Qinglu pondered for a moment. Let's start with the East Sea. Over the past century, the development speed of Baiyu Island's White Jade Pavilion was extremely fast, almost having unified the Eastern Sea Islands. And that Master Yuanyang of Baiyu Island was only half an ancient saint. Over the years, even if he had made a breakthrough, it's impossible for him to have entered the refining void period. Given that, with Mu Qinglia's true form plus the Taihao Immortal Mirror, they would grasp a complete victory over the enemy. On the other hand, should Mu Qinglu choose to make a move against the Nether Palace, the Demon Saint's Nest, or the Blood Demon Sea first, Master Yuanyang would certainly hide upon hearing of it. In the end, the Daoist Immortal sect, the Nether Palace, the Demon Saint's Nest, and the Blood Demon Sea were all old adversaries. The latter 3 had special trump cards, and although Mu Qinglu held the Taihao Immortal Mirror, he could only suppress them, not kill them. Therefore, taking action against the East Sea was most in line with Mu Qinglia's expectations. The East Sea. That Master Yuanyang of Baiyu Island deserves to die. Mu Mengting nodded and said, initially, Master Yuanyang had destroyed his beloved Black Gauze archipelago that he had managed for many years. This was a grudge he still remembered to this day. I leave the sect in your hands. After saying these words, Mu Qinglia's figure vanished into the distance. The East Sea. Baiyu Island. Hundreds of thousands of White Jade Pavilion disciples gathered on the island. Moreover, a large number of mortals converged on Baiyu Island. Though called island, it was nearly 2 million li in size, equivalent to several Kanglan stars. If not for the vastness of the central divine continent, Baiyu Island should really be called Baiyu Continent. The core area of Baiyu Island. Lin Yuan was sitting cross-legged. Below him, several disciples were raising cultivation queries, and Lin Yuan was answering them casually. Hundreds of years had passed, the foundation of the White Jade Pavilion had greatly increased. Cultivators at the Martial Tao first rank exceeded 100,000, second rank surpassed 10,000, third rank was more than 2,000, and there were 322 individuals at the fourth stage Martial Tao. There were 8 cultivators at Martial Tao fifth stage. It could be said that the White Jade Pavilion was undoubtedly the first in the Eastern Sea Islands today, and if Lin Yuan wished, uniting the Eastern Sea Islands would be a piece of cake. Lin Yuan seemed to sense something. He looked up toward the sky. On Baiyu Island, countless disciples were either gathering together or wandering alone, studying and cultivating martial Tao techniques. Suddenly, above in the 9 heavens, a round immortal mirror radiating terrifying immortal light bobbed in and out of visibility. As the immortal mirror turned slightly, a beam of terrifying light descended from the 9 heavens. The terrifying nature of the mirror light brought even space itself to a near standstill. Wherever it passed, nature's spiritual energy dissolved into nothingness. It was foreseeable that, if this mirror light were to fall on Bayou Island, the entire island would be pierced through, this holy land of cultivation completely destroyed. The fallout of the mirror light would lead to the death of all beings below the ancient saint level. What is that? This is bad, run quickly. It's too late, we're all going to die. Countless white jade pavilion disciples looked up at the sky, filled with despair. Beneath the terrifying light of the immortal mirror, there was only one thought in everyone's mind: death. No matter where they ran, it was death. Just then, a figure appeared above Bayou Island. Instantly taking on a phenomenal size, he was so tall that his height was immeasurable, his force of Taiyang so intense it was like a second sun. The towering figure raised his hand lightly, and Bayou Island, about the size of several Kanglan stars, was completely protected within the palm of his hand. Chapter 266 Grandpa, what do you want to cooperate with me on? Please subscribe. In the 9 heavens above, Mu Qinglu stood with his hands behind his back. The Taihao immortal mirror hovered above his head. A terrifying beam of light from the mirror was already blasting towards Bayou Island below. At this moment, Mu Qinglu himself had arrived, carrying the true body of the Taihao immortal mirror. In this realm, he, Mu Qinglu, was invincible. Erasing Bayou Island would only require one strike. Master Yuanyang. The light in Mu Qinglia's eyes was indifferent. Master Yuanyang had been a half-step ancient saint over 100 years ago. By now, he must be very close to becoming an ancient saint, but what of it? If not yet an ancient saint, under the beam of the Taihao immortal mirror, he would surely die. Even if he were an ancient saint, unless he was one of those 3 veteran ancient saints from the Nether Palace, Demon Saint's Nest, or Blood Demon Sea, he too would be gravely injured or crushed to death. This was Mu Qinglia's confidence. This was the confidence of the Daoist immortal sect master, who had ruled over the central divine continent for tens of thousands of years. Those 3 old fellows must be quite frightened now, mustn't they? Mu Qinglu glanced in the directions of the other 3, planning to go and reminisce. In his eyes, the fate of Bayou Island below him was already sealed, to disappear into smoke and clouds under the mirror light. However, the next moment, Mu Qinglia's expression drastically changed. He suddenly lowered his head to look. The giant of unknown size, towering from earth to sky, raised his hand and shielded Bayou Island, spanning over 1,000,000 miles. The shocking beam emitted by the Taihao immortal mirror, upon touching the back of that majestic figure's hand, quickly dissipated, vanishing completely within a few breaths. What is that? Mu Qinglia's expression turned grave. Master Yuanyang. Mu Qinglu watched as the figure that had stopped the blow from the Taihao immortal mirror quickly returned to normal size, with hands behind his back, his face looking extremely troubled. Ancient saint of refinement void. An ancient saint at the peak of the void refinement realm. Even surpassing the limits of the void refinement, beginning to explore the Dao integration stage. Mu Qinglu judged in his mind. The ability to manifest such a massive form surely belonged to a great divine skill. And to block a strike from the Taihao immortal mirror so effortlessly, his strength was unfathomably deep. Mu Qinglu had never anticipated that Master Yuanyang, whom he had considered easy prey, would possess such formidable strength. In the north of Divine Continent, on a small island deep within the Blood Demon Sea, just as Mu Qinglu was utilizing the Taihao immortal mirror to release that terrifying beam of light, the Blood Demon Master suddenly opened his eyes, his expression solemn. Has Mu Qinglu left Mount Morality immortal? Has the Daoist immortal sect birthed a second ancient saint? The Blood Demon Master quickly surmised numerous things. Master Yuanyang is finished. The Blood Demon Master shook his head slightly. By stepping out from Mount Morality immortal, Mu Qinglu was making his first move against Bayou Island, solely to utterly annihilate Master Yuanyang. I told you to join me, but you refused. Now, are you dead? The Blood Demon Master shook his head slightly. 100 years ago, when Master Yuanyang occupied Bayou Island, the Lord of Blood Demon had sent his subordinates to persuade Master Yuanyang to join him. After all, there weren't many in the Blood Demon Sea with combat power close to that of an ancient saint. However, back then, Master Yuanyang had directly refused. And now, in the eyes of the current Lord of Blood Demon, Master Yuanyang's decision was a mistake. What a pity, the Lord of Blood Demon shook his head. Master Yuanyang did not come from the Daoist Immortal sect and had no ties with the Blood Demon Sea, Nether Palace, or Demon Saint's Nest. Relying solely on himself, he had cultivated to the brink of the ancient saint realm. If he had been willing to accept the gift from the Lord of Blood Demon and transform into a blood godchild, he might have had a chance to reach the true level of an ancient saint. Something's not right? Just as the Lord of Blood Demon was planning to contact the other 3 ancient saints to discuss how to deal with Mu Qinglu, he suddenly sensed something and abruptly widened his eyes. A strike from Mu Qinglu was blocked? The Lord of Blood Demon's mouth fell open. Although he had not witnessed it in person, through the aura sensing, the earth-shattering mirror light unleashed by Mu Qinglu had not exploded forth but had dissipated into nothingness. At the same time, a terrifying force rivaling the sun, the power of Taiyang, converged. The Taiyang Ancient Saint. An ancient saint nearly surpassing the limit of void refinement? How could Master Yuanyang possibly possess such strength? The Lord of Blood Demon could hardly believe it. Even if Master Yuanyang had broken through to the void refinement realm, the Lord of Blood Demon would be at most shocked, not utterly dumbfounded as he was now. It was not impossible for Master Yuanyang to have broken his shackles and stepped into void refinement 100 years after being on the brink of ancient saint. But now, surpassing the limit of the void refinement period? That was a level touched only by the sect master, who held the Taihao Immortal Mirror. And Master Yuanyang reached it on his own? How could this be possible? We were wrong. We were all wrong. 100 years ago, Master Yuanyang wasn't just nearly an ancient saint. The thoughts of the Lord of Blood Demon surged fiercely. He suddenly realized that 100 years ago, Master Yuanyang had never claimed to be at the brink of the ancient saint realm. The label of being nearly an ancient saint had always been speculation from the outside world. Surpassing the limit of the void refinement period, could he be a great power from hundreds of thousands of years ago? The Lord of Blood Demon pondered rapidly. Initially, he thought Master Yuanyang was a strong figure born within the last few millennia. Yet, with the combat power and strength demonstrated, how could he have cultivated to this point in just a few thousand years? The Lord of Blood Demon conjectured that Master Yuanyang might hail from 100,000 years ago. Back then, the Daoist Immortal sect was not the undisputed master of the Central Divine Continent. 100,000 years ago, the Ascension platform had not yet emerged. There were many unfathomable strong figures in the world, some surpassing the limit of void refinement as well. It was not only the Lord of Blood Demon who was shocked. Almost at the same time, the ancient saints from the Demon Saint's Nest and the Nether Palace sensed that Mu Qinglius' original self had taken action with the Taihao Immortal Mirror in hand. Chapter 267 Grandpa, what do you want to cooperate with me on? Please subscribe, _2. The Island Master, Master Yuanyang, easily blocked it. Master Yuanyang is so strong? Daoist Immortal sect, Mu Mengting was also paying attention to the East Sea. He wanted to see with his own eyes how Master Yuanyang would kneel and beg for mercy under the suppression of Mu Qinglu. However, what happened next made his scalp tingle. Mu Qinglu, holding the Taihao Immortal Mirror and deemed invincible, was actually blocked by Master Yuanyang? Above the 9 heavens, Mu Qinglu stood with the Taihao Immortal Mirror above his head. He was caught in a certain dilemma of whether to advance or retreat. Initially, Mu Qinglu thought that subduing Master Yuanyang would not encounter any accidents. That was why he came to the East Sea at the first opportunity, taking action against Bayou Island. Persimmons must be picked to squeeze the soft ones. Compared with the Blood Demon Sea, the Demon Saint's Nest, and the Nether Palace, Master Yuanyang naturally belonged to an undisputed soft persimmon. But to his surprise, this soft persimmon turned out to be the world's hardest stone. For Mu Qinglu, Master Yuanyang, whose combat power had reached the void refinement limit and was even surpassing the limit, was the one he least wanted to deal with. The Ghost Cultivator King of the Nether Palace, the Blood Demon of the Blood Demon Sea, and the Demon Saint from the Demon Saint's nest had unique trump cards, and even with the Taihao Immortal Mirror in hand, Mu Qinglu could not totally annihilate them. But at least he could dominate the fight. Yet facing Master Yuan Yang, Mu Qinglu didn't even have the confidence to win, let alone dominate. What worried Mu Qinglu even more was if Master Yuan Yang joined hands with the Ghost Cultivator King, the Blood Demon, and the Demon Saint, Daoist Immortal sect might face the worst situation in tens of thousands of years. Master Yuan Yang. I think there has been some misunderstanding between us. Mu Qinglu was silent for a moment, put away the Taihao Immortal Mirror, and secretly transmitted his voice. Next, Mu Qinglu transmitted a few more words and then turned to leave. In the skies above Baiyu Island, Lin Yuan stood aloft, quietly watching Mu Qinglu leave. Seeking to cooperate with me? Lin Yuan pondered the words Mu Qinglu had just privately transmitted. In summary, it meant one thing. The animosity between Daoist Immortal sect and him, Master Yuan Yang, was not irresolvable. The two could cooperate. As for the specifics of this cooperation, the details could be discussed. In Central Divine Continent, above the 9 heavens, Mu Qinglius' gaze was contemplative. Upon reflection, there was not much irreconcilable hatred between Master Yuan Yang and Daoist Immortal sect. It was just that Master Yuan Yang had eradicated Daoist Immortal sect's foothold in the Eastern Sea Islands, the Black Gauze Archipelago. But that Mu Qinglu could choose to forgive. It was just the Black Gauze Archipelago after all. As for his rash move against Baiyu Island earlier, Mu Qinglu could totally make up for it in other ways. If I could cooperate with Master Yuan Yang, Mu Qinglius' heartbeat quickened. Master Yuan Yang was an ancient saint from the Taiyang lineage, and moreover, an ancient saint who had surpassed the void refinement limit. Such an ancient saint was simply a natural nemesis to those wicked and evil powers. If he were to join forces with him, it would be entirely possible to completely eradicate Nether Palace and the Blood Demon Sea. Before today, Mu Qinglu had never thought about dealing with Nether Palace and Blood Demon Sea, because it was very difficult to achieve. Even with the immortal artifact Taihao Immortal Mirror, it couldn't be done. This time, he held the Taihao Immortal Mirror in his hand as he left Mount Morality Immortal, with the intention of merely suppressing those 3 old fellows to teach them a lesson, so they wouldn't get any ideas. That was all. But now Mu Qinglu saw hope. Cloud mist blessed land? Mu Qinglu suddenly stopped. His gaze turned towards the cloud mist blessed land below. Just before leaving, he had sent a few messages to Master Yuan Yang. Among them was the possibility of cooperation. As for how to cooperate, the two needed to find a place to discuss it in detail. In the end, Mu Qinglu chose Cloud Mist Blessed Land. As for why not Mount Morality Immortal? Mount Morality Immortal was the old den of the Immortal sect, and it was unknown how many strategies had been laid out by past sect masters. Mu Qinglu figured that if they really chose Mount Morality Immortal, then Master Yuan Yang would not come. The Cloud Mist Blessed Land was quite appropriate. Although the Cloud Mist Blessed Land was one of the 108 blessed lands, it hadn't been rigged with many schemes. With Master Yuan Yang's strength, the entire Cloud Mist Blessed Land was as insubstantial as tissue paper in his eyes. Choosing Cloud Mist Blessed Land meant that he, Mu Qinglu, absolutely had no other schemes up his sleeve. And the Cloud Mist Blessed Land was very close to Mount Morality Immortal. If the discussion did not go well, Mu Qinglu also had an escape route. One final point. Compared to other blessed lands of Central Divine Continent, the importance of Cloud Mist Blessed Land was not high, the only benefit being its ability to prolong life slightly. But the life-prolonging efficacy of Cloud Mist Blessed Land was negligible for cultivators. Swish. Mu Qinglu descended into the Cloud Mist Blessed Land. Greeting the sect master. Chunhua and Qiyu's faces were filled with panic, not knowing what matter brought the sect master to them. Where is Wuji? Mu Qinglu asked. The young master, he is in seclusion, Qiyu spoke with a trembling voice. I'll go tell the young master right away, no need. Wuji. Images of Jun Wuji flashed through Mu Qinglius' mind. Moreover, the images of Jun Dongjin, Mu Lianer, Jun Xiaoyao, and Jun Jilan all passed through his mind in succession. For some reason, Mu Qinglu felt somewhat sorrowful at this moment. For the benefit of the Mu family, he had ultimately given up on Jun Dongjin, and even his two grandchildren, Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Jilan, had been sent to the distant vast cliff mountain. Only Jun Wuji, the grandson who had been scarcely noticeable since childhood, had escaped disaster, but even so, he was separated from his own parents and brothers. Wuji, let him continue his cultivation. Don't disturb him, Mu Qinglu sighed. Despite being somewhat cruel, he, Mu Qinglu, did not feel he had done anything wrong. Do not go up to the attic on the mountaintop. I shall meet a Daoist friend there. Mu Qinglu ordered a few words, then his figure disappeared. Chapter 268 Grandpa, what do you want to cooperate with me on? Please subscribe, _3. Yunwu Mountain Summit. Outside the attic. Mu Qinglu sat cross-legged, facing the direction of the East Sea, quietly waiting for Master Yuanyang to arrive. I wonder what price must be paid to persuade Master Yuanyang to cooperate with me against the Blood Demon Sea, Nether Palace? Mu Qinglu thought to himself. He greatly valued Master Yuanyang, such a powerful figure, who would stand out in any era, even tens of thousands of years ago in that age when beings beyond the void refinement limit frequently appeared. We must have a good discussion later. Even if we fail to agree, we must resolve any grievances. I absolutely cannot let Master Yuanyang collaborate with those three old men. Mu Qinglu secretly pondered. He had already communicated with Master Yuanyang, proposing a cooperation discussion at Cloud Mist Blessed Land, and the latter would likely arrive soon. The foot of Yunwu Mountain. Chunhua and Qiyu's faces had just regained some color. The sect master's sudden visit had really startled them. That was the Daoist Immortal sect master, a supremely great figure in the central divine continent. For two lowly golden core stage female cultivators like them, meeting such a grand figure was something unlikely in their lifetimes. The sect master is here to meet some Dao companion, right? It must also be some grand figure, but to have the sect master personally wait, this Dao companion, Chunhua and Chuyue were puzzled. With the status of the immortal sect leader, who under the heavens would dare be late and let the sect master personally wait? Isn't that putting on airs a bit too much? Does the term Daoist in Daoist immortal sect carry the meaning of being moral? The reason it is called the Daoist immortal sect is that all enemies have been thoroughly defeated and subjugated. Only its own members are left, and that's why there's room for morality. As Chunhua and Chuyue spoke softly, a figure emerged from a sealed cultivation chamber unknowingly. Ah, young master. You've come out. Chunhua and Chuyue turned around and saw Lin Yuan, immediately bowing to greet him. Young master, the sect master was here just now. He's now at the summit of Yunwu Mountain, waiting for a Dao companion. Chunhua immediately shared everything she knew. I understand. Lin Yuan nodded. Lin Yuan looked up towards the summit of Yunwu Mountain. The mountain was enshrouded in clouds and mist, much like an immortal realm. It's about time. Lin Yuan's expression was calm. He then followed the mountain path stairway. Then he climbed the stairs towards the summit. Young master. Chunhua and Chuyue, upon seeing this, hesitated but did not interfere. Although the Daoist immortal sect master had said not to let anyone go up, the young master was not an outsider. He was the immortal sect leader's grandson. He should be allowed to go up, right? Yunwu Mountain was not tall, only a few hundred meters high. But the mountain paths and stairways were quite rugged. Lin Yuan's eyes were downcast as he ascended step by step. Lin Yuan did not use any divine skills and simply climbed steadily. About half an hour later, Lin Yuan reached the summit of Yunwu Mountain. He saw Mu Qinglu, facing east, back towards him. Lin Yuan walked straight towards him. Wuji, Mu Qinglu had already noticed Lin Yuan, but did not stop him. I've already talked to Meng Ting. He will soon bring Jun Dongjin and your mother back, and your family will be reunited. Mu Qinglu assumed Jun Wuji wanted to plead for his parents and directly broached the subject. Upon hearing this, Lin Yuan did not stop. He walked in front of Mu Qinglu and sat down eye level with the immortal sect leader who dominated the central divine continent. Wuji! Mu Qinglius' brow slightly furrowed. The spot Lin Yuan chose was the one he had reserved for Master Yuanyang. Nonetheless, since Wuji was his grandson, even with such impudence, Mu Qinglu still did nothing. Wuji, you go down first. In a moment, your grandfather and a Dao companion have important matters to discuss, matters that relate to the overall situation in the central divine continent. Mu Qinglius' expression was amiable. He thought he was not wrong about the Jun Dongjin situation, but he still felt somewhat guilty towards his grandson. Lin Yuan remained silent, simply quietly observing Mu Qinglu. Wuji! Mu Qinglius' smile faded. He was somewhat baffled about what his grandson was trying to do. Did he not understand the importance of the upcoming discussion for Daoist Immortal sect, for the central divine continent? The two stared at each other. Grandfather. Just then Lin Yuan slowly began to speak. Mu Qinglius' expression softened, but Lin Yuan's next words made his pupils contract. What do you want to cooperate with me on? Chapter 269 Being Reactive and Negotiating, please subscribe. Baiyu Island. Lin Yuanyang's spirit floated down serenely. The disciples of the White Jade Pavilion were filled with fervor, having just thought themselves certainly doomed to death. The terrifying beam of light that pierced through heaven and earth had been effortlessly blocked by the sect master. Especially the sect master himself, who, in the end, transformed into a colossal giant tens of thousands of zhang tall, covering the entire Baiyu Island with a mere palm. Such divine skills and abilities, even the ancient saints of refined void might not be capable of them, right? That light beam, should it be the Taihao immortal mirror of the Daoist Immortal sect? Our sect master blocked the strike from the Taihao immortal mirror? Doesn't that mean the sect master is already an ancient saint? Nonsense, merely an ancient saint? That Taihao immortal mirror is the founding artifact of the Daoist Immortal sect, and under it, which of the three ancient saints from the Blood Demon Sea, Nether Palace, and Demon Saint's Nest dare to resist? Our sect master's power is simply 100 years had made the White Jade Pavilion the most powerful force in the East Sea. Its disciples, worldly and wise, immediately deduced that the light descending from the 9 heavens probably came from the legendary immortal artifact, the Taihao immortal mirror. Lin Yuan glanced at the multitude of ecstatic disciples from the White Jade Pavilion, then returned directly to his cave dwelling in the core area. Master, Li Qing and the other disciples accepted by Lin Yuan immediately greeted him with utmost respect. Under Lin Yuan's occasional guidance and the rich cultivation environment of Baiyu Island, disciples like Li Qing were either at the 4th stage martial Tao or 5th stage martial Tao, matching the nascent soul true monarchs and Mahayana heavenly monarchs of the immortal cultivation system. The ordinary disciples outside had only seen Lin Yuan's incredible feat, blocking the strike from the immortal mirror that could have erased Baiyu Island from existence. But disciples like Li Qing, with their strong capabilities and high realm, were even more acutely aware of just how terrifying the colossal giant Lin Yuan had transformed into really was, and what it truly meant to be able to withstand a strike from the Taihao immortal mirror head-on. Master, how can Master be so powerful? Li Qing and the other disciples trembled in their spirits. They had been cultivating alongside Lin Yuan for over a century, under his tutelage. They had considered their master's power unfathomably deep, but at most felt it was close to an ancient saint of refined void level. As to blocking the strike from the world's strongest ancient saint of refined void just now, making the revered immortal sect leader retreat proactively, that was nothing short of a fanciful tale. Well, there's something I need to announce. Lin Yuan looked towards the 3 to 4 dozen disciples he had taken in over the years. These disciples were particularly suitable for cultivating the martial arts evolution system and were key to supporting the continuation of the martial arts evolution system once Lin Yuan left this realm. Master, please speak. Master, please speak. Li Qing and the other disciples immediately said respectfully, Go and unify the East Sea. Lin Yuan spoke calmly. For over a century, even though the White Jade Pavilion had become the most powerful force in the East Sea, it had not interfered with other, less orthodox paths. Not because it couldn't, but for fear of attracting the attention of the Daoist Immortal sect. However, there was no need for such concerns now. Lin Yuan's power had already become invincible in this world. If not for that Taihao immortal mirror, merely with the Yin's spirit and Yang's spirit, he could have swept across this realm. Unify the islands of the East Sea. Li Qing and the other disciples were invigorated. Lin Yuan's gaze fell towards the direction of the central divine continent. This world is not limited to the immortal path. My martial Tao also needs to make its mark. Vast Cliff Mountain. Every corner was guarded by divinity transformation stage heaven lords. Jun Dongjin, as a former high-ranking member of the Daoist Immortal sect and even a contender for the sect master position, was now abandoned and assigned to the remote vast Cliff Mountain, yet still protected by divinity transformation stage cultivators from the Immortal sect. In fact, it was more surveillance than protection. Jun Dongjin knew too many secrets of the Daoist Immortal sect, and should he escape or be swayed by the Nether Palace, Blood Demon Sea, or Demon Saint's Nest, it wouldn't bode well for the Daoist Immortal sect. Within a cave several li away from vast Cliff Mountain, 2 divinity transformation stage heaven lords sat cross-legged. To think that we, as esteemed heaven lords, would be assigned to such a remote place. The thin man on the left side. A divinity transformation stage heaven lord, even within the Daoist Immortal sect, is regarded as a mid to upper level cultivator, entitled to benefit from the spirit vein of Mount Morality Immortal, greatly aiding in cultivation. Yet now, situated around the vast Cliff Mountain, despite the presence of nature's spiritual energy, it surely pales in comparison to that of Immortal Mountain. Even Jun Dongjin himself is here. What complaints could you have? The round-faced heaven lord glanced at the thin man. I'm not complaining, just think the sect master is a bit unfeeling. Suppressing Jun Dongjin is one thing, but why reassign his daughter and grandson here as well? The sect master's decision must have its reasons. The round-faced heaven lord shook his head. Do you think Jun Dongjin will ever return to Mount Morality Immortal? The thin man couldn't help but ask. Not sure. It all depends on Mu Mengting's wishes. The round-faced heaven lord pondered then replied. The current situation within the Daoist Immortal sect was clear. Mu Mengting was designated as the next sect master. Then it's over. The thin man suddenly felt a headache. Though not appropriate to discuss the future sect master Mu Mengting, her vengeful nature was no secret. Perhaps once Mu Mengting stepped into the refining void period and became an ancient saint, taking over as immortal sect leader, her outlook might change, but that was merely a possibility. It's really Jun Wuji, Jun Dongjin's youngest son, who is lucky. The whole family is reassigned here, yet he remains enjoying his life in the cloud mist-blessed land. The thin man couldn't help but feel emotional. Sometimes, being weak is a blessing. Chapter 270 Playing Second Fiddle and Negotiating. Subscribe requested. _2. Jun Wuji was still able to stay in cloud mist-blessed land only because, in the eyes of Mu Qinglu and Mu Mengting, this man posed no threat. He didn't even have the slightest presence. That's why he was able to escape this calamity. Indeed, the round-faced celestial lord nodded in agreement. If Jun Wuji had been the least bit noticeable, he, along with his 2 elder brothers and elder sister, would have been transferred over as well. Hee. Just as the gaunt man was about to say something, his expression suddenly changed. The round-faced celestial lord beside him experienced the same change. Within their sensory range, a presence appeared out of thin air. And it headed straight for vast Cliff Mountain. How audacious! How reckless! Do you not know that this place is a forbidden land of the Daoist Immortal sect? The other Mahayana heavenly monarchs also noticed it one after another. They all revealed themselves, shouting in an explosive manner. Who are you? Son Jun Wuji? When the Mahayana phase heaven lords saw clearly the face of the newcomer, they were immediately stunned. The aura exuded by the figure in front of them was similar to that of Taiyin under the bright moon, but the face was that of Jun Wuji. Though Jun Wuji was exceedingly low profile within the Daoist Immortal sect, his appearance was widely known, as he was once a third-generation celestial with a heaven-reaching background. "I've come to take my parents away," Lin Yuan spoke with a calm tone. Before confronting Mu Qinglu, Lin Yuan had already sent his Taiyin primordial spirit to vast Cliff Mountain. Regardless of the final outcome of the negotiations, Lin Yuan planned to take his parents and elder siblings to the Eastern Sea Islands. At the very least, he wouldn't allow them to remain in the hands of the Daoist Immortal sect. For this reason, this Taiyin primordial spirit of Lin Yuan had purposely transformed into the main Bodis appearance, so it would be easier for his parents to accept. "Son Jun Wuji, may I ask if you have the sect master's decree?" The round-faced celestial lord and the other celestial lords glanced at each other and tested the question. A starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Even though Jun Dongjin was no longer part of the sect's high ranks, he was after all the son-in-law of the Mu family. Jun Wuji was even the Immortal sect leader's grandson. Once all the celestial lords on scene recognized Jun Wuji's identity, none of them dared to speak out of turn. "A sect decree? I don't have one," Lin Yuan shook his head as he replied. "According to the rules, without a sect decree, Lord Jun Dongjin's family is not permitted to leave." The round-faced celestial lord reminded him, closely scrutinizing the Jun Wuji before him, sensing something very strange about his aura. "No matter," Lin Yuan said with a slight smile. The next moment, the expressions of the round-faced celestial lord and the others drastically changed. They all felt the space around them solidify, and found that they were unable to move their internal mana or divine sense. They were bound in place. Then, under the watchful eyes of numerous celestial lords, Lin Yuan walked directly towards Vast Cliff Mountain. Inside Vast Cliff Mountain, Jun Dongjin, Mu Lianer, and Jun Zhilan, as well as Jun Xiaoyao, had long noticed the commotion outside. At this moment, they looked towards the approaching Jun Wuji in shock. "Wuji!" Mu Lianer tentatively called out. Although the appearance was the same, the aura was inconsistent. "Mother," Lin Yuan nodded. At that word, Mu Lianer felt a sense of relief in her heart. Though it was just one word, it assured Mu Lianer that this was indeed her younger son, Jun Wuji. "Long story short, I'm going to take you to the East Sea now, where it is much safer than here." Lin Yuan looked towards his parents and elder siblings. "Ah!" Jun Zhilan blinked. Everything that happened from the beginning until now left her in a state of confusion. How could her little brother be like this? And just now, that group of Mahayana heavenly monarchs watching over them, why did they suddenly become immobile? "Well, explain after we reach the East Sea." Lin Yuan raised his right hand and swept his great sleeve. Space twisted as if compressed, and Jun Dongjin and the other three began to shrink steadily until they were all drawn into the sleeve. The Daoist Immortal sect's supreme technique, Cosmos in the sleeve. The cloud mist blessed land. Daoist Immortal sect leader Mu Qinglu, with his gaze fixed intently on the grandson sitting across from him at eye level. At this moment, Mu Qinglia's heart was overwhelmed by towering waves. That sentence, "What do you wish to cooperate with me on?" from Jun Wuji almost caused Mu Qinglu to lose his composure on the spot. As an ancient saint of refined void, with an exceptionally clear memory, Mu Qinglu was certain that the matter of cooperating with Master Yuanyang was only discussed with Master Yuanyang himself. To others, he had mentioned only that he was discussing important matters with a Daoist friend. Discussing important matters could mean many things, far beyond just cooperation. But now, Jun Wuji was asking him what to cooperate on? Wuji. Mu Qinglia's pupils faintly reflected the silhouette of a celestial mirror. In just an instant, Mu Qinglu activated dozens, if not hundreds, of secret techniques, trying to uncover the truth about his grandson. He had no choice. That phrase, "what to cooperate on," had too great an impact on Mu Qinglu. Even if Jun Wuji had guessed it by chance, Mu Qinglu would still verify it repeatedly. With a jolt, Mu Qinglu closed his eyes tightly. He seemed to see torrents of blood qi and rolling scarlet clouds. Jun Wuji, within him, contained some sort of extremely terrifying power that blocked all of his probing secret techniques. Who are you really?" Without a sound, above Mu Kinglius' head, a celestial mirror radiating with fairy light surfaced. The pressure from Jun Wuji was indeed too great, so great that he subconsciously activated the Taihao Immortal Mirror for protection. Grandfather. I am Jun Wuji. And also, Master Yuan Yang. Lin Yuan's expression remained calm. Since he had decided to reveal his cards, Lin Yuan saw no need to hide his identity anymore, mainly because his current strength was already invincible, fearing nothing, not even the immortal sect leader wielding an immortal artifact. You. Mu Kinglius' face went through a myriad of changes. At this moment, he even suspected that his own grandson might have been possessed by the powerful Master Yuan Yang. However, possession techniques come with many restrictions, and with his strength, he should have detected something amiss if Jun Wuji had genuinely been possessed. But there was nothing. The soul aura of his grandson had been unchanged from beginning to end. Master Yuanyang. Mu Qinglu raised his head, looking in the direction of the eastern sea, vaguely sensing an aura as imposing as the sun rising up and responding to the Jun Wuji in front of him. Impressive. After a long while, Mu Kinglius' expression gradually regained calmness. I never expected that my Daoist immortal sect, after hundreds of thousands of years, would produce a genius like you. Now that the most unbelievable possibility had become the truth, Mu Kinglius' mind began to clarify the numerous doubts he had. For instance, when Master Yuan Yang first appeared, it had been on the Black Gauze Archipelago. At that time, his grandson was present to celebrate his own Hollow Void ceremony. Meng Ting was reporting to him about matters concerning the Black Gauze Archipelago at the time. I want to work with you to take down Nether Palace, the Blood Demon Sea. Looking at Jun Wuji, who had become a stranger before him, Mu Qinglu said in a low voice. By now, he had fully elevated his own grandson to the same level of authority as himself, and his tone was of negotiation. No problem. Lin Yuan said indifferently. He had no particular affection for the Nether Palace, the Blood Demon Sea, or even the Demon Saint's Nest. Even if Mu Qinglu had not mentioned it now, Lin Yuan would have planned to flatten them later on. Then, Mu Qinglu let out a sigh of relief and continued, What are your conditions? As long as they could resolve a major concern that had plagued the Daoist immortal sect for hundreds of thousands of years, Mu Qinglu was willing to pay a significant price. Even if Lin Yuan made a huge demand, Mu Qinglu would likely agree in the end. Lin Yuan was his grandson. Even if he gained a lot more benefits from the Daoist immortal sect, it would still be falling into the hands of his own people. Keeping the profit in the family has its reasoning too. 3 conditions, Lin Yuan began. First, I want the complete Taoist immortal scripture. The Taoist immortal scripture, a sect treasure-level cultivation method of the Daoist immortal sect, encompasses the essence of progress after the refining void period into the Dao integration stage. Within the entire Daoist immortal sect, only the sect master is permitted to cultivate this scripture, even the once Jun Dongjin had not learned it. As the 3rd generation of the immortal sect, Lin Yuan's older brother Jun Xiaoyao would often secretly bring out many of the immortal sect's secret techniques and methods for him. However, the Taoist immortal scripture was something he could not bring out. No one in the Daoist immortal sect, except for the sect master, knew the location of this scripture, let alone have the chance to access or take it out. No problem, Mu Qinglu thought for a moment and nodded in agreement. Chapter 271 Contest for the Great Dao, subscribe please. For the Daoist immortal sect, the Taoist immortal scripture is of utmost importance, encompassing many secret techniques and methods of the sect. It even contains essential descriptions of the Dao integration stage. Therefore, within the Daoist immortal sect, only the sect master could cultivate the Taoist immortal scripture. Even though Mu Mengting had stepped into the refining void, he could not access the Taoist immortal scripture before becoming the sect master. This was a rule and ironclad law of the Daoist immortal sect, adhered to for hundreds of thousands of years. However, Mu Qinglu knew that rules were made by men. His own grandson, with such terrifying aptitude and fearsome power, could be trusted with the Taoist immortal scripture without significant risk. After all, whether it was given or not, Mu Qinglu had no confidence in defeating Lin Yuan. This must not be divulged, and all matters concerning the Taoist immortal scripture must not be taught to a second person. Mu Qinglu spoke. He could only tolerate Jun Wuji being the sole person privy to the Taoist immortal scripture. Agreed. Lin Yuan nodded. The second condition. I want to know everything about the Ascension platform. Lin Yuan continued. The Ascension platform is of great significance. The Blood Demon Sea, the Nether Palace, and the Demon Saints' Nest have continuously stirred up wars in the Divine Continent in pursuit of the Ascension platform. Furthermore, hundreds of thousands of years ago, the Daoist immortal sect's control over the Divine Continent was also due to the Ascension platform. It is said that the Ascension platform connects to the spirit realm. You need not mention this, I would have told you anyway. Mu Qinglu said. Even if he did not inform Lin Yuan, those three old fellows from the Nether Palace, the Blood Demon Sea, and the Demon Saints' Nest would eagerly tell Master Yuan Yang. The third, Lin Yuan paused. The third condition, also critically important, outweighed the previous two combined. I wish to spread martial Tao throughout the Divine Continent. Lin Yuan stated. Implicitly, the Daoist immortal sect must not suppress the spread of martial Tao. Martial Tao. Mu Qinglius' expression changed slightly. He knew that many disciples in the White Jade Pavilion of the Eastern Sea were cultivating a system called martial Tao. Mu Qinglu had even observed some techniques of the martial arts system. Martial Tao, being a cultivation system entirely different from the immortal path, showed potential that was not much weaker than the immortal path. The reason why this time the Daoist immortal sect cultivated the second ancient saint, with Mu Qinglu wielding the Taihao immortal mirror and intending to erase Baiyu Island, was not only because he saw Baiyu Island as an easy target, but because martial Tao posed a certain threat to Mu Qinglu. In the Eastern Sea Islands, with 800 fringe sects and 3,000 left paths, the cultivation systems vary greatly, but they all have obvious flaws and almost never give rise to a being at the refining void ancient saint layer. This was also why the Eastern Sea Islands remained in perpetual chaos, lacking a sufficiently powerful cultivator, thus constantly fractured. But martial Tao. Mu Qinglu was almost certain that cultivating according to the martial Tao cultivation system and producing an ancient saint, or the equivalent of sixth-stage martial Tao, was merely a matter of time. Choose another. That's impossible. Mu Qinglu shook his head. Other matters could be discussed. But allowing the spread of martial Tao? Absolutely impossible. In Mu Qinglius' eyes, his greatest concession could be allowing Jun Wuji to become the next sect master of the immortal sect. After all, Jun Wuji was a disciple of the Daoist immortal sect. With such strength and aptitude, far surpassing Mu Mengting whom he had nurtured. Allowing Jun Wuji to be the next sect master was not a problem, but rather could fully align him with their cause. As for Mu Mengting, he could only be slightly disgraced, serving as the protector of the Daoist immortal sect. Impossible? Lin Yuan's expression remained unchanged. He internally sighed softly. He had anticipated this possibility, as martial Tao and the immortal path were fundamentally different. Simply put, what is the fundament of the Daoist immortal sect? Is it the successive sect masters? Or the endless immortal methods and secret techniques? Neither. The fundament of the Daoist immortal sect is the immortal path. The immortal path, for the Daoist immortal sect, is as essential as the imperial bloodline in a vast empire. In the empire, anyone can become emperor, provided they possess the imperial lineage. Nowadays, Lin Yuan's attempt to have the Daoist immortal sect permit the spread of martial Tao is akin to undercutting the foundation and changing dynasties. If Mu Qinglu truly agreed to this, he would become the eternal sinner of the Daoist immortal sect. Martial Tao and the immortal path represent two fundamentally different great Dao. Contests between great Dao are exactly like this. As for why body cultivation does not conflict with the immortal path, it's because body cultivation is not a complete cultivation system. Any cultivation system, when developed deeply, enhances oneself all round, body, spirit, lifespan, etc. However, body cultivation only enhances the physical body, unable even to increase the most fundamental lifespan of a cultivator. This means that body cultivation is more akin to a type of secret technique. Not only the immortal path but also martial Tao, demonic Tao, and others could incorporate body cultivation into their domain. Then forget it. Lin Yuan remained calm. His appearance at the meeting with Mu Qinglu was merely a test to gauge the attitude of the Daoist immortal sect towards martial Tao. Lin Yuan had already prepared for failure before he ascended the summit of Yunwu Mountain, having the Taiyin primordial spirit move his parents and siblings to the Eastern Sea in advance. Forget it. Mu Qinglu remained silent. These words marked the failure of their cooperation. Wuji. Mu Qinglius' gaze suddenly intensified. The Taihao immortal mirror above his head emitted strands of immortal light. That Master Yuan Yang, he must be one of your avatars? Mu Qinglu muttered to himself. The technique of creating avatars is not rare, and the Daoist immortal sect possesses the secret technique to forge avatars. Chapter 272 The Struggle of the Great Dao, Subscription Request, _2. However, to refine an avatar, one must pay a huge price, and in the end, one has to split off a portion of their own soul and infuse it into the avatar body. Losing a portion of one's soul means a decrease in the cultivation speed and perception among other aspects. Therefore, Mu Qinglu did not cultivate the avatar technique. He wielded the Taihao immortal mirror, and in today's world, no matter the distance, he could instantly form an incarnation with the mirror, which was not much different from an avatar. Today, I want to see, Wuji, just how strong you have become after all this time of restraint. Mu Qinglu suddenly stood up, and above his head, the Taihao immortal realm shone brightly. At the foot of Yunwu Mountain, Chunhua and Chuyue, two golden core female cultivators, were whispering to each other. The young master has been up there for so long, why hasn't he come down yet? Perhaps he is talking with the sect leader. After all, the young master has not gone out for a long time. Indeed, but the fact that the sect leader is willing to talk so much with the young master shows they must have feelings. While chatting, Chunhua and Chuyue glanced toward the top of Yunwu Mountain. Suddenly, a terrifying fluctuation transmitted from the mountaintop. Instinctively, Chunhua and Chuyue looked up. They were instantly so shocked that their jaws dropped. They saw two figures soaring into the sky from the top of Yunwu Mountain. The one on the left was the immortal sect leader, Mu Qinglu, with the founding artifact of the sect, the Taihao immortal mirror, radiating boundless light and boundless calamity, his presence overwhelming. The figure on the right seemed to possess supreme strength, with raging blood energy and rolling crimson clouds drowning the area within 100,000 miles. With the Taihao immortal mirror above his head, the immortal sect leader, Mu Qinglu, appeared like a ship that could capsize at any moment among the vast sea of blood and energy, swaying unsteadily. The key puzzlement for Chunhua and Chuyue was that the figure overpowering the sect leader seemed to be their young master, Jun Wuji. Was the young master fighting the sect leader? It seems the sect leader couldn't defeat the young master. Chunhua and Chuyue opened their mouths wide. The moment Mu Qinglu and Lin Yuan clashed, terrifying fluctuations spread in all directions. West of Divine Continent, Demon Saint's Nest. The Demon Saint was pondering the strength of Master Yuan Yang, who could block a strike from Mu Qinglu wielding the Taihao immortal mirror, when suddenly, what is that? The Demon Saint's expression suddenly changed. He clearly felt two powerful auras clashing in the center of Central Divine Continent. One aura, boundless light and boundless calamity, illuminating every corner of the world, should indeed be Mu Qinglu. As for the other aura, blood energy pervaded, shaking Central Divine Continent. Despite the infinite power of the Taihao immortal mirror surpassing the limits of the refining void period, it still seemed unstable amidst the terrifying blood energy. Who could it be? Who could be suppressing Mu Qinglu in Central Divine Continent? The Demon Saint was truly scared. That was Mu Qinglu wielding the Taihao immortal mirror, with divine might covering the world, unrivaled by anyone. When had he ever been so suppressed, especially at his own doorstep? Show yourself. The Demon Saint took a deep breath and reached out in front of him. He was activating some secret technique to project the scene of the great battle in the center of the divine continent here. Whoosh! A series of ethereal images slowly emerged. It was a battlefield located in the 9 heavens. The rolling crimson clouds, the pure red blood energy nearly drowning everything. But the demon saint vaguely noticed a mighty man standing at the center of this ocean of blood. He stood tall, swinging a certain type of fist technique, pressing down on the Taihao immortal mirror and Mu Qinglu agonizingly. Every punch the man threw created a faint fist imprint on the body of the Taihao immortal mirror, which would instantly heal, but this was the Taihao immortal mirror, a Dao integration period immortal artifact. It was supposed to be indestructible. Overwhelming blood energy? Is it the body cultivation lineage? No, it's not just that, the demon saint swallowed nervously. It had been a very long time since he felt such fear, but seeing that mighty man now, the demon saint's mind trembled. Who could it be? Who could it be? The demon saint continued to stimulate the secret technique, and the image gradually became clearer, revealing the mighty man's features. The demon saint widened his eyes. As an ancient saint of refinement void, his memory was incredibly strong. Every time he awoke, he would recall the faces of all slightly notable cultivators from the Daoist immortal sect in Central Divine Continent. And at this moment, the face of that mighty man was none other than that of Jun Wuji, regarded as a waste by the Daoist immortal sect due to his lack of spirit root qualifications? How is this possible? The demon saint was dumbfounded, unable to respond for a long time. Is it Jun Wuji? How is he so powerful? In the Blood Demon Sea, the Lord of the Blood Demons was also feeling waves of shock in his heart. He had tried before to win over Jun Wuji, through whom he could gain favor with Jun Dongjin. He was thus quite familiar with Jun Wuji, having paid close attention to him. But now, the Lord of the Blood Demons trembled in fear. The lineage of the Blood Demons, most afraid of the utmost rigid and yang blood energy, although the Lord of the Blood Demons had extremely strong life-saving measures, claiming that as long as the Blood Demon Sea exists, he could not die. Seeing that towering figure enveloped in towering blood energy, the Lord of the Blood Demons felt that if he were in Mu Qinglius' position, even his vast Blood Demon Sea would be evaporated by that boundless blood energy. Jun Wuji, I never expected you to have hidden so deeply. The Blood Demon Lord steadied his mind. At that moment, he suddenly thought of the blood-red figure he had sent to win over Jun Wuji. The blood-red figure had died very quickly, and the Blood Demon Lord had thought it was just bad luck, discovered by Mu Qinglu wielding the Taihao immortal mirror. But now, it seemed likely that the blood-red figure had died at the hands of Jun Wuji. Fortunately, the Blood Demon Lord looked at the ongoing fight, or rather, it was Jun Wuji dominating Mu Qinglu, and for some reason he felt relieved. Even though he didn't know why Jun Wuji was fighting with his grandfather Mu Qinglu. But this was a good thing, given the strength that Jun Wuji had displayed. If anyone teamed up with Mu Qinglu, no, even without teaming up, if Jun Wuji harbored killing intent towards them, he wouldn't be able to escape even if he wanted to. The other ancient saints of refinement void could possibly hide in some corner and cling to life. But since he was merged with the Blood Demon Sea, he couldn't escape, and was too obvious a target, practically a living target. Nether Palace. The emaciated man's forehead vaguely oozed cold sweat. He didn't have a physical body, existing only as a soul form, and shouldn't even be capable of cold sweat, but feeling the intensity of the fight between Lin Yuan and Mu Qinglu about blew his scalp off. Such vast and relentless vitality, if it came to suppress him. The emaciated man didn't dare to imagine the consequences. As the king of ghost cultivators, he possessed a certain immortality trait. But even immortality had its limits. Being swept with that boundless vitality once would strip him of a layer of skin. Swept a few more times, and he probably would indeed die. Retreat, retreat, retreat. The emaciated man immediately controlled the Nether Palace to flee towards the utmost southern direction. He was truly afraid. Above the 9 heavens, Mu Qinglu, with the Taihao immortal mirror above his head, struggled to defend. Wuji, how is Wuji so strong? Mu Qinglius' expression was ugly, He had originally thought that much of Jun Wuji's strength resided in Master Yuanyang. His sudden attack, not to mention defeating the adversary, at least he expected to regain some face. Being inferior to his own grandson was not a good thing for a grandfather. But the reality was the opposite. In merely an instant of contact, he was suppressed by Lin Yuan. And he hadn't had a chance to counterattack since then. It wasn't that he didn't want to counterattack, but that he simply couldn't. We can't drag this on. Mu Qinglu made up his mind. Although with the help of the Taihao Immortal Mirror, he could still hold on. Continuing like this wasn't good. Let's return to the Daoist Immortal sect. Mu Qinglu sighed. For the first time in tens of thousands of years, the leader of the sect was forced to retreat to his own sect's gate by an outsider. Whoosh! The Taihao Immortal Mirror suddenly emitted boundless light, breaking through layers of vitality. It shot towards Mount Morality Immortal. Seeing this, Lin Yuan followed closely. Mount Morality Immortal. Immortal Qi filled the air. But at this time, the entire sect was as if facing a great enemy. The sect master's terrifying battle in the sky above the cloud mist-blessed land was naturally sensed early on by many disciples nearby Mount Morality Immortal. Many elders and the supreme elders all began to activate the sect protection array. A beam of mirror light fell from above. The Taihao Immortal Mirror, as the pivot of the sect's great formation of Mount Morality Immortal, could ignore many of the sect's formations and directly enter. Quickly activate the 9 Heavens Defense Array, the 10 Earths Thick Soil Array, the 5 Elements Rotation Array, the Yin-Yang Integration Array. Mu Qinglu, in a rush, activated the Taihao Immortal Realm, turning on all the countless arrays the Daoist Immortal sect had accumulated over tens of thousands of years. The next moment, whoosh! Like the dawn sky, boundless and unparalleled, the brilliant and startling torrents of vitality submerged Mount Morality Immortal. Chapter 273 Trinity, Seeking Subscriptions. Mount Morality Immortal stood majestic and grand. It stood at the center of the central divine continent, like a colossal pillar supporting the heavens. In fact, for tens of thousands of years, the Daoist Immortal sect had been situated upon this mountain, overlooking all beings from its lofty height. However, today, the pillar that countless cultivators of the central divine continent looked up to was now submerged in surging vital energy. The sound of rushing water echoed. Brilliant and shocking vital energy, mighty and overwhelming, collided fiercely with the sect protection array of Mount Morality Immortal. At every instant, a vast amount of vital energy evaporated while also causing numerous sections of the sect protection array to collapse. So, the submerging vital energy engulfing Mount Morality Immortal did not show any signs of slowing, seeming endless and boundless. What's going on? Has someone dared to attack the Daoist Immortal sect? This red vastness is the power of vital energy? How can there be such immense vital energy? Most of the Daoist Immortal sect disciples had yet to react. Just moments ago, they were cultivating in their own caves, and the next, they felt terrifying fluctuations coming from the direction of the cloud mist-blessed land. This was the scene they were faced with now. The grand Mount Morality Immortal had been submerged in surging vital energy, and at this moment, countless formations within the mountain were activated, resisting the erosion of the vital energy. Did it hold? Upon seeing this, sect leader Mu Qinglu, not knowing why, felt a sigh of relief deep inside. Jun Wuji. Mu Qinglius' expression was grave as he looked towards the depths of the Red Ocean. He could feel that Jun Wuji was there, silently watching Mount Morality Immortal. Sect leader, what exactly happened? At that moment, Mu Mengting rushed over, hurriedly asking. His face looked pale as he glanced at the red twilight enveloping Mount Morality Immortal, unable to suppress the trembling in his heart. If it weren't for the sect's great formations shielding them, with his early refined void stage strength, he probably would have been melted by the red twilight in no time. It's Jun Wuji. Mu Qinglu spoke tersely. At this moment he did not want to say much. Daoist Immortal sect was facing the greatest crisis in tens of thousands of years, and most of his attention was on maintaining the sect protection array. Jun Wuji? The youngest son of Jun Dongjin? Wasn't he spiritless? Mu Mengting had already seen the person confronting Mu Qinglu, and with the abilities of an ancient saint of refinement void, identifying him wasn't difficult. But the greater this certainty, the more incredulous Mu Mengting became. Jun Wuji? The very Jun Wuji he had never even considered a threat? How could he be so strong? How could he be so strong? Mu Mengting couldn't accept it. It was as if an ant he had never bothered to glance at had suddenly become a god capable of reaching the heavens, this reversal nearly inducing a heart demon in Mu Mengting. How would I know? Mu Qinglu spared Mu Mengting a glance. That was indeed the case. The one now blocking the entrance to Daoist Immortal sect and almost suppressing Mount Morality Immortal with his singular might was none other than his former grandson, an individual who had always been inconspicuous and had never received much attention, a third-generation immortal. The rumble of thunder reverberated. Boundless vital energy spread out. Lin Yuan slowly emerged, overlooking the entirety of Mount Morality Immortal. At this moment, Mount Morality Immortal unleashed its formidable potential under his gaze, defensive formations sparking to life, intermingling and blending with one another, and connecting with the ley lines of the central divine continent. Jun Wuji? Mu Mengting looked up at the figure above, his thoughts turbulent. Jun Wuji? Is he Jun Wuji? The youngest son of Lord Jun Dongjin? Countless Daoist Immortal sect disciples also saw Lin Yuan, stunned and unprepared for the entity displaying such overwhelming combat power, to be the third-generation immortal who had grown up on Mount Morality Immortal. Many of the disciples had interacted with Jun Wuji before. At that time, Jun Wuji, with his powerful background, was untouchable, yet he was incapable of cultivation and thus looked down upon by many of the sect's disciples. But now, looking up at Jun Wuji, who stood high above like a true immortal from the upper realms, many disciples felt as if they were dreaming. Let's see if we can break through. Lin Yuan observed Mount Morality Immortal closely below. Merely eroding it with vital energy was insufficient to handle Daoist Immortal sect. Lin Yuan needed to take action himself. Boom! Lin Yuan raised his hand. He shot his hand toward Mount Morality Immortal from afar. Hum! The red twilight rolled, endless vital energy concentrated, forming a 100-mile wide hand that smacked down toward Mount Morality Immortal. Inside the sleeve space, Jun Dongjin, Mu Lianer, along with Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Jilan, a family, were anxious. Husband, what exactly is going on? Mu Lianer asked softly, her mind tense ever since she was taken into the sleeve space. Although Mu Lianer was sure that the one who took them away must be her younger son, Jun Wuji, it only led to more questions. Why could her younger son take them away? Why did the divinity transformation stage Heaven Lord Guardians outside not stop him? And could such top-grade immortal techniques as Sleeve Universe, which only divinity transformation stage Heaven Lords can execute, be performed by him? One question after another deeply puzzled Mu Lian. My little brother, when did he become so strong? Even Sleeve Universe has been executed by him? Jun Jilan couldn't help but speak out. In her eyes, her little brother Jun Wuji had always been someone she needed to protect. Now, he suddenly used Sleeve Universe, a technique exclusively for Heaven Lords. Jun Jilan herself was only at the nascent soul stage. Despite this, she was considered a genius within the sect. Could it be that my little brother has some hidden spirit root, has been secretly cultivating, and now that he's entered the divinity transformation phase, he has finally asked the sect master to take us away? Jun Xiaoyao speculated after a moment. Chapter 274 The Trinity, Subscription Request, _2. So far, that is the most likely possibility. Hidden spirit roots. Such cases have occurred a few times in the central divine continent over tens of thousands of years, but the possibility is so small that everyone has not considered this. Divinity transformation stage? Do you think this is the space manipulation of the divinity transformation stage? At this moment, Jun Dongjin, who had been silent, suddenly spoke up. Ah, isn't space manipulation something that only cultivators in the divinity transformation stage can perform? Could it be that there are special methods that allow one to use space manipulation at the nascent soul stage or even the golden core stage? Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Zhilan asked. If that were indeed the case, it would be much more acceptable. Even if Wuji had hidden spirit roots, advancing to the divinity transformation stage in just over 100 years was still too frightening. The golden core stage or the nascent soul stage would be much more reasonable. At least that is the level at which Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Zhilan themselves are. So that's how it is. Mu Lianer suddenly realized in her heart. But even she, as the sect master's personal daughter, had never heard of any method that could lower the threshold for using such a high-grade divine skill as space manipulation. The essence of space manipulation is an understanding of space. Without reaching the divinity transformation stage, who could clearly perceive space and utilize it? You misunderstand my meaning. Jun Dongjin glanced at the others, suppressing the shock in his heart. A Mahayana phase heaven lord, even when using space manipulation, can at most encompass 1 mile within. Jun Dongjin paused for a moment and took a deep breath before continuing. An ancient saint of refinement void, if performing space manipulation, could reach 100 miles within. After saying this, Jun Dongjin stood up and looked around. He looked at the space inside the sleeve where they found themselves. Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Zhilan also looked around. As far as the eye could see, vast and endless. Is it not tens of thousands of miles? You see. At the core area of Baiyu Island, Lin Yuanyang stood with his hands behind his back. A figure appeared. It was the Taiyin primordial spirit. With a wave of the Taiyin primordial spirit's hand, Jun Dongjin and the other 3 appeared. Where is this? Jun Dongjin cautiously looked around. Mu Lianer, Jun Xiaoyao, and Jun Zhilan were still immersed in the shock that the space inside an ancient saint of refinement void sleeve could be only 100 miles. Dad, Mom, big brother, second sister, I have something urgent. I will leave first and explain when I come back, said the Taiyin primordial spirit with a faint smile. The Taiyin primordial spirit disappeared with the Taiyang divine spirit from Baiyu Island. After 100 years of preparation, Baiyu Island, even when besieged by several ancient saints of refinement void, could hold out for a considerable amount of time. It would be possible to penetrate Baiyu Island only if the Daoist immortal sect master holding the Taihao immortal mirror made a full-force strike. But now, the immortal sect leader Mu Qinglu and the Taihao immortal mirror were both blocked by Lin Yuan within the immortal sect. It can be said that Baiyu Island is currently one of the safest places in the world. Mount Morality Immortal. Life force surging endlessly, boundless and infinite. Lin Yuan looked down from above, striking repeatedly with dozens of slaps, yet still unable to shake Mount Morality Immortal. It really is like a turtle shell, remarked Lin Yuan calmly. Mount Morality Immortal is connected to the largest ley line of the central divine continent. Attacking the mountain is akin to attacking the entire continent, dispersing the force endlessly. Indeed, Lin Yuan had means to break through Mount Morality Immortal, namely by destroying the central divine continent inch by inch. Without the central divine continent, the defensive power of Mount Morality Immortal would plummet. However, this method was tantamount to achieving a Pyrrhic victory. Without the central divine continent, Lin Yuan's martial path evolutionary path would also be difficult to spread. Inside Mount Morality Immortal. Mu Qinglu, seeing Lin Yuan cease his attack, sighed with relief again. Even though he had great faith in the sect's defenses, believing that only a Dao integration stage powerhouse could potentially breach them with some effort, seeing the maneuvers displayed by Lin Yuan still filled him with dread. We held strong. Next to him, Mu Mengting finally let go of his hanging heart. At this moment, his thoughts were extremely complex. Wu Ji, once considered beneath his notice, had brought him an overwhelming sense of oppressiveness. Sect Master, what do we do now? Mu Mengting whispered. Although Mount Morality Immortal had blocked Lin Yuan's attack, but with Lin Yuan blocking the entrance outside, they couldn't leave either. What can we do? Mu Qinglu sighed. We can only continue to withstand it like this. Mu Qinglu said softly. With the attack Lin Yuan had unleashed among the Daoist Immortal sect, only he, with the Taihao Immortal Mirror in hand, might be able to hold out if he went outside. The other disciples, including Mu Meng Ting, the newly promoted ancient saint, would certainly die if they went outside. Our Immortal sect has profound foundations. Just as Mu Qing Lu was about to speak and boost the morale of the many Immortal sect disciples, at that moment, from two other directions of Mount Morality Immortal, within the vast expanse of surging scarlet energy and blood, two figures emerged. One exuded the aura of the power of Taiyang akin to a great sun falling to the human world, precisely Master Yuanyang from Baiyu Island. The other, in every move, was wrapped in the endless Yin energy of Tin, like the bright moon shining, their presence not the slightest inferior to that of Master Yuanyang beside them. Is that the mysterious ancient Saint Taiyin? No good, this ancient Saint Taiyin is also one of Jun Wuji's avatars. Mu Qing Liu's expression drastically changed and immediately urged the Taihao Immortal Mirror to activate the sect protection array of Mount Morality Immortal to its ultimate extent. Boom! The Taiyin Primordial Spirit and the Taiyang Divine Spirit joined hands, merging the power of Taiyin and power of Taiyang into the power of Taiji, and formed a black and white yin-yang great grinding disc that rolled toward the base of Mount Morality Immortal. Meanwhile, Lin Yuan himself made another move. With overwhelming and astonishing life force, he struck Mount Morality Immortal once again. Master Yuanyang and that ancient Saint Taiyin are both avatars of Jun Wuji? In the west of Divine Continent, the color drained from the demon saint of the demon saint's nest. The sequence of events that had unfolded today far surpassed the shocks he experienced over the past hundreds of thousands of years, even exceeding the era tens of thousands of years ago when figures surpassing the void refinement limit were commonplace. First was Master Yuanyang, revealing a combat power that surpassed the void refinement limit and easily blocking a strike from Mu Qing Lu with the Taihao Immortal Mirror in hand. Next was the man whom everyone saw as a waste, who inexplicably started a fight with his own grandfather. But what was unbelievable was that Jun Wuji was actually overpowering his grandfather in the fight, overwhelming the Immortal sect leader holding the Taihao Immortal Mirror. In the end, the Immortal sect leader, left with no alternative, fled into Mount Morality Immortal and with the centuries-old foundation of the Daoist Immortal sect, barely resisted the killing power of Jun Wuji. And then Master Yuanyang arrived. The mysterious ancient Saint Taiyin also arrived. The three stood in three respective directions around Mount Morality Immortal, and although they had different auras, they could easily merge into one. It was clear that the three were actually one person. At this moment, the demon saint was deeply shaken. He could never have dreamed that Jun Wuji had hidden so many trump cards. In the south of Central Earth, the emaciated man known as the Ghost Cultivator King felt numb all over. He had planned to flee towards the far south, but now, seeing Jun Wuji suppressing the entire Daoist Immortal sect and that Master Yuanyang, as well as the ancient Saint Taiyin, were all closely related to Jun Wuji, the emaciated man suddenly lost all interest in fleeing. If it were only Master Yuanyang, a figure who surpassed the void refinement limit, he might have had some hope of escape if he desperately fled south. But three of them, especially since these three were likely the same person, the Ghost Cultivator King no longer felt like running, because it was pointless. No matter where he fled within this realm, it made no difference. With the combat power Jun Wuji had unleashed now, the ends of the earth were merely under his feet. How could such an aberration be born in this world? The Ghost Cultivator King sighed deeply, gazing distantly towards the direction of Mount Morality Immortal. Compared to his current situation, the predicament of the Daoist Immortal sect was undoubtedly many times worse. In the Blood Demon Sea, the Blood Demon Lord was trembling with unease. How could it be so powerful? The Blood Demon Lord knew many things about the past hundreds of thousands of years ago, but even back then, while mighty beings that surpassed the void refinement limit weren't rare, someone with terrifying power like Lin Yuan was perhaps only one or two, right? Mount Morality Immortal. The dreadful immortal light formation was nearly capable of piercing through space, as Mu Qing Lu personally urged the Taihao Immortal Mirror, seated at the central hub of the Immortal Mountain. The next moment, the yin-yang taiji great grinding disc crushed downward. Chapter 275 In a hurry for a century, numerous beings, all watching one person, please subscribe. For a moment, heaven and earth seemed to collapse. It was as if all things were destroyed. Lin Yuan gathered his two primordial spirits, and with all his might, he struck. He completely surpassed the 6th rank limit, and purely in terms of might, perhaps he was already close to the 7th rank. A moment later, the nature's spiritual energy gradually calmed. Lin Yuan looked down. It's a pity. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. His full-strength attack had still not breached Mount Morality Immortal. Well then, Lin Yuan did not care much. The Daoist Immortal sect, with its inheritance spanning hundreds of thousands of years, had profound secrets, and unless a Unity Realm True Immortal or a 7th rank Evolver intervened, it would be very difficult to completely break through their sect protection array. Lin Yuan's visit this time was not to permanently resolve the Daoist Immortal sect. Instead, it was to test his own strength, using the entire Daoist Immortal sect as a standard to measure against. Although I can't break it, I have almost done it. As long as I cultivate to the peak of the 6th rank, full force, my attack might touch upon the 7th rank. By then, I should be able to completely break through Mount Morality Immortal. Lin Yuan looked down at Mount Morality Immortal, pondering to himself. Of course, the premise of Lin Yuan's prediction is that the legendary spirit realm does not intervene. The Daoist Immortal sect controls the Ascension platform, and its past ancient saints, after leading the sect for 10 or 20,000 years, ascend to the spirit realm via the platform. Tens of thousands of years ago, many powerful beings from that era, some surpassing the void refinement limit, have already ascended to a higher level of the spirit realm through the Ascension platform. In the spirit realm, it's almost certain that there resides a Unity Path stage true immortal. However, the Ascension platform is a one-way passage. The former members of the Daoist Immortal sect who ascended can't return from there. This is also why Lin Yuan dared to take action against the Daoist Immortal sect. With the two realms separated, even if they could intervene, the force they could exert would be very limited, and Lin Yuan, being undefeated in this realm, has nothing to fear from them. Let's go back. Lin Yuan glanced at the Daoist Immortal sect beneath him, and then he disappeared. Actually, Lin Yuan could have left behind a Yang spirit or a Yin god to continue suppressing the Daoist Immortal sect. But there was no need, with the combat power he had just displayed. Even without leaving a suppressive avatar, the disciples of the Daoist Immortal sect would probably not dare to venture out for a long time, especially those nascent Soul True Monarchs and Mahayana Heavenly Monarchs. Even if you gave them 10 times the courage, they wouldn't dare step outside the bounds of Mount Morality Immortal. So, in that case, it might as well be that both of his primordial spirits return together, as training the primordial spirit could also improve Lin Yuan's efficiency in understanding Dao. Accompanied by Lin Yuan's departure, within Mount Morality Immortal, countless Immortal sect disciples cried tears of relief. Just now, they really felt the threat of death, thinking the Daoist Immortal sect, with its heritage of hundreds of thousands of years, might actually not withstand the attack of that yin-yang great grinding disc. But now, Mount Morality Immortal had not been breached. And that figure, standing high in the sky, looking down on them like a true immortal, Wuji, had also disappeared, likely having left. We have survived. Haha, I knew my life wasn't supposed to end. We survived, we really survived. Countless Immortal sect disciples couldn't help but celebrate wildly. From life to death, and from death back to life, such great fluctuations, even for cultivators, could inevitably affect their state of mind. Survived! Above in the sky, Jun Wuji watched the disciples' wild celebration and couldn't help feeling a bit bitter. Since when had the lofty disciples of the Daoist Immortal sect expressed such sentiments? Go find the sect master. He composed himself and immediately flew towards the top of Mount Morality Immortal. For ordinary disciples, indeed, they had survived. But for the higher-ups of the Immortal sect, it was just the beginning. What the Immortal sect needs to do next is crucial. Wuji had only left, not died. it was far from a time for celebration. The grand hall at the top of Mount Morality Immortal. Sect Master Mu Qinglu sat in the main seat, his eyes closed, frowning in deep thought. Sect Master. Mu Mengting appeared in the hall, bowing slightly to Mu Qinglu. Mengting, Mu Qinglu opened his eyes and looked at Mu Mengting. Observing the respectful demeanor of Mu Mengting, Mu Qinglu subconsciously compared him to Jun Dongjin, and found the two simply couldn't compare. Did I really choose wrong? Mu Qinglu thought silently to himself. If he had not chosen Mu Mengting to be the next immortal sect leader but had chosen Jun Dongjin instead, would they have avoided the disaster that had just befallen the Daoist immortal sect? Although it's true that Lin Yuan wanted to spread martial Tao, a point on which he definitely won't compromise, and neither would the Daoist immortal sect, if Jun Dongjin had been the leader of the immortal sect, there would have been at least some room for easing the situation, instead of it escalating to direct conflict like just now. Sect Master, what should we do now? Mu Mengting asked cautiously. What should we do? Mu Qinglu focused his thoughts. Wuji's strength is beyond us now. We can only seek the advice of our ancestors. The ancestors' opinions? Mu Mengting's eyes lit up. The Daoist immortal sect had been inherited for hundreds of thousands of years and had no less than 30 generations of leaders. On average, each leader ruled the immortal sect for only 10 to 20,000 years. Why is that? It must be known that an ancient saint of refinement void's lifespan far exceeds 20,000 years, as the three ancient saints from the Blood Demon Sea, Nether Palace, and Demon Saint's Nest have lived from that era until now. It's not difficult for an ancient saint of refinement void to live for several 100,000 years. But in reality, the Daoist immortal sect has had many leaders, and the reason is the spirit realm. The Daoist immortal sect controls the Ascension platform, a passage linking to the spirit realm, and its past leaders ascended to the spirit realm through it. Chapter 276. In a hurry for a century, numerous beings, all watching one person. Please subscribe. It is said that the cultivation environment in the spirit realm far surpasses that of the central divine continent. In the spirit realm, the ancestors of the Daoist immortal sect even included Unity realm true immortals. You should not have too many expectations for the ancestors. The ancestors residing in the spirit realm find it difficult to intervene in the lower realms. Mu Qinglu shook his head. If the ancestors could intervene in central divine continent, then the Demon Saint's Nest, Nether Palace, and Blood Demon Sea would have been flattened long ago. How could they still exist today? Baiyu Island. Jun Dongjin, Mu Lianer, Jun Xiaoyao, and Jun Jilan. They were anxiously waiting, speculating uneasily. Is this Baiyu Island? The territory of Master Yuanyang? Does Wuji also have a connection with Master Yuanyang? The shock in Jun Dongjin's heart never ceased. Although he had vaguely guessed from Lin Yuan Taiyin Primordial Spirit's display of universe in the sleeve that his youngest son, Jun Wuji, might be far stronger than they imagined, yet until they received Jun Wuji's personal confirmation, they could not be sure. At that moment, Lin Yuan appeared not far away. Wuji, younger brother, Mu Lianer, Jun Jilan, and Jun Xiaoyao ran over first. What exactly is going on? The person who met us earlier, why does he look like you? Jun Jilan couldn't help but ask. That was one of my, let's say, avatars. Lin Yuan thought for a moment and explained. The martial path evolutionary path's martial Tao primordial spirit indeed resembled an avatar, only it did not require the same price as cultivating an avatar. Next, Lin Yuan disclosed everything truthfully. Like his true strength, both the so-called Master Yuanyang and Ancient Saint Taiyin were his avatars. As for why he possessed such power, Lin Yuan explained that in his childhood, some memories suddenly emerged in his mind. Those memories contained some incomplete cultivation methods. Anyway, it was mostly true, with a bit of falsehood. I have read in some ancient scriptures that before the appearance of the Ascension platform, those capable of exceeding the void refinement limit faced the end of their lifespans and would attempt reincarnation. Wuji, you must be the reincarnation of some powerful being. However, the theory of reincarnation is elusive and includes grappling with the mystery in the womb. That powerful beings, true self might have already dissipated, leaving only some memories for you, Wuji, to take in. Jun Dongjin pondered for a while and then spoke. Although the theory of reincarnation was elusive, it truly existed. In the history of the Daoist Immortal sect, it had taken in some exceptionally precocious disciples. These disciples were innately knowledgeable, and visions of another world would often flash through their minds. Young brother, are you saying that you just visited Mount Morality Immortal and almost breached it? Jun Jilan blinked her eyes. She understood every word Lin Yuan said, but when combined, why did it seem so alien? I took action against the Daoist Immortal sect with no ill intentions, only to prove my strength in preparation for spreading the martial Tao, Lin Yuan stated truthfully. If one wanted to spread the martial Tao, relying solely on kinship and words was futile. The Daoist Immortal sect had the backing of the spirit realm ancestors, so Lin Yuan never intended to eradicate Mount Morality Immortal. After all, Lin Yuan could only stay in this world for 500 years, and even if he did destroy the Daoist Immortal sect, 500 years later, after Lin Yuan left this world, the Daoist Immortal sect's spirit realm ancestors could easily make a comeback and re-establish the Daoist Immortal sect. Even for a unity realm true immortal, spanning two realms to break through world barriers and intervene in the lower realms is extremely challenging. At most, they could employ some minor tricks. Such tactics might be sufficient to deal with ordinary beings who had surpassed the void refinement limit, but against Lin Yuan, they were utterly ineffective. However, with Lin Yuan present for the next 500 years, there was no need to worry about the martial Tao. But what about after 500 years? Thus, the real purpose of Lin Yuan's actions was to force the hands of those ancestors from the Daoist Immortal sect in the spirit realm. As for why he did not use more peaceful methods, such as speaking frankly with Mu Qinglu, there really was no difference. If Lin Yuan lacked sufficient strength, even if he appeared in a peaceful demeanor, he would still face suppression from the Daoist Immortal sect. Conversely, if Lin Yuan demonstrated the ability to annihilate the Daoist Immortal sect in this realm, no matter what he did, as long as he did not cross a line, there would be room for negotiation. Moreover, Lin Yuan had another motive. That was to avenge his parents. It was the Daoist Immortal sect's mistake in choosing the wrong person. Wuji, you do as you see fit. Jun Dongjin looked at his son and said, having experienced the peak and the potential of becoming the next sect master within the Daoist Immortal sect, as well as the lows, having spent a century at the remote vast cliff mountain, he had seen through many things. After explaining everything to his parents, elder brother, and elder sister, Lin Yuan personally arranged a residence for them on Bayou Island. Bayou Island brimmed with dense spiritual energy. Even though it was not Mount Morality Immortal, it was a match for any paradise in the central divine continent. It was much better than the remote vast cliff mountain. With his parents cultivating here, Lin Yuan felt very relieved. Several months later, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged inside his cave dwelling. Nearby, a man in a blood-red robe bowed respectfully. I have seen you, my lord. This man in the blood robe was indeed the master of the Blood Demon Sea. After spending several tense months in the Blood Demon Sea, he had decided to pay Lin Yuan a visit in person. Given the strength Lin Yuan had shown, flattening his Blood Demon Sea was not a difficult task. Faced with such a powerhouse, the Blood Demon Master naturally knew what to do. Is this one of your avatars? Lin Yuan looked at the Blood Demon Master with keen interest. He was not the first ancient saint to visit Lin Yuan. Before him, the Ghost Cultivator King of the Nether Palace and the Demon Saint of the Demon Saint's Nest had already visited. They each had offered their core secret techniques in hopes of gaining Lin Yuan's protection. But to say they sought protection was not quite accurate. They merely hoped Lin Yuan would not strike against them. Lin Yuan naturally accepted all of them with a smile. These old ancient saints of refinement void who had lived for hundreds of thousands of years had many valuable secret techniques and teachings. My lord, as my true body cannot leave the Blood Demon Sea, I had to send this incarnation. The Blood Demon Master suddenly grew anxious, thinking that Lin Yuan was blaming him for being rude. Not to worry. Lin Yuan waved his hand. My lord, this is the Immortal Blood Sea skill I've been practicing for a long time. the Blood Demon Master immediately presented a blood-colored jade slip. He then pledged his loyalty to Lin Yuan, saying that if Lin Yuan commanded, he would expand the Blood Demon Sea, invade the Central Divine Continent, and battle the Daoist Immortal sect to the death. After sending the Blood Demon Master away, Lin Yuan began to study the Immortal Blood Sea skill in the Jade Slip. To merge with the Blood Sea, immortal and indestructible. No wonder the Daoist Immortal sect has been unable to suppress it for hundreds of thousands of years. This skill already involves some techniques of the Unity realm. Lin Yuan's expression turned slightly solemn. The Demon Saint's Nest and the Nether Palace were able to withstand suppression from the Daoist Immortal sect up to this day because the Demon Saint's Nest and the Nether Palace were powerful artifacts left by those who surpassed the void refinement limit tens of thousands of years ago. However, the Master of the Blood Demon Sea did not have these, relying solely on merging with the Blood Demon Sea to remain at large until now. Such technique, if only it could be slightly modified, Lin Yuan was rather tempted. The flaw of the Immortal Blood Sea skill was that one could not leave the item to which one was merged. For example, the Blood Demon Master could not leave the range of the Blood Demon Sea because he was the Blood Demon Sea and the Blood Demon Sea was him. But with Lin Yuan's Against Heaven's understanding, it was not impossible to eliminate this flaw, albeit at the expense of weakening the immortal characteristics slightly. Years passed leisurely. 100 years flew by quickly. Baiyu Island became increasingly prosperous, and the number of martial Dao cultivators also grew. In the Jun Dongjing territory, Mu Lianer, Jun Xiaoyao, and Jun Jilan had a happy and stress-free life on Baiyu Island. And now, Baiyu Island's reputation had surpassed that of the Daoist Immortal sect, further elevating the status of Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Jilan. Just then, a terrifying aura burst from the core area of Baiyu Island. The magnitude of this aura seemed capable of suppressing all things. Across the billion-mile region of the East Sea, nature's spiritual energy began to tremble. The Demon Saint's Nest. The Demon Saint looked toward the direction of the East Sea in shock. Has that lord broken through? The Demon Saint murmured to himself. 100 years ago, that lord had the ability to hang up the Daoist Immortal sect and beat it. With another step forward, what level would he reach? The Nether Palace. The Ghost Cultivator King sighed. His gaze also turned toward the East Sea, pondering something. The Blood Demon Sea and the Blood Demon Master did the same. The Daoist Immortal sect. Mu Qinglu and Mu Mengting felt the aura from the East Sea immediately, sprang from their seats, and looked toward the East Sea. As the breakthrough aura became more immense, suddenly, countless beings, as if sensing something, looked unconsciously toward the direction of the East Sea. It was as if all the world as one in gaze watched a single man. Chapter 277 Ascension Platform. Please subscribe. Name: Jun Wuji Lin Yuan. Identity: Holder of the Myriad Realms Gate, Bound Talent, Heaven-Defying Comprehension, Divine Skills, Blood Rebirth, Current State, Consciousness Descent. Remaining residency time, 220 years. At the core cave dwelling on Baiyu Island, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, his terrifying aura spreading through the void, rippling out in all directions as if it were ripples formed by a stone thrown into a calm body of water. This world. Lin Yuan opened his eyes and looked towards the direction of the Daoist Immortal sect in the Central Divine Continent. With his current understanding of space, no matter how far the distance, he could sense that deep within the Daoist Immortal sect, space seemed to be torn open, suggesting some kind of incompleteness. It was as if there was a black dot suddenly appearing on a piece of white paper, which would stand out as extraordinarily prominent in Lin Yuan's vision. Is that the Ascension platform controlled by the Daoist Immortal sect? Lin Yuan appeared thoughtful. Compared to the final spatial rift in the Divine Arms world, this Ascension platform's connected spatial passage seems much more stable and orderly. It was similar to the spatial passage formed by the crystal cube that the eldest senior brother brought out when Lin Yuan first broke through to the 6th rank, which allowed direct arrival at the Qikuan main star. Lin Yuan sat at the East Sea, observed the Ascension platform at the Daoist Immortal sect for a while, and then shifted his gaze away. The Ascension platform, as of now, held no secrets for Lin Yuan. It was simply a stable space passage leading to a certain world. Of course, stable as it might be, it was still filled with a kind of spatial pressure, and only those of at least the 6th rank or refining void ancient saint layer could pass through it. 280 years. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, having descended into this world almost 300 years ago, with just a fraction of the 500 years of residency time left. 60 years ago, I had already stepped into the 12th segment of the 6th rank. 50 years ago, I reached the peak of the 12th segment, and just now, I even managed to take a half step beyond the 12th segment. But the 7th rank, I still haven't figured it out. In 100 years, besides the Daoist immortal scripture from the Daoist immortal sect, Lin Yuan had comprehended all the techniques and secret arts of this world and used their essence as nutrients to feed into the martial path evolutionary path. However, Lin Yuan understood that to truly start the 7th rank chapter of the martial path evolutionary path, he still lacked something. Despite having many references for the 7th rank evolution pathway to ponder, the 7th rank chapter that Lin Yuan wanted to create for the martial path evolutionary path would certainly be unique and perfectly fit for himself. 7th rank, Lin Yuan's expression was contemplative. In this world, the immortal cultivation system's realm corresponding to the 7th rank was the Dao integration stage. What is the Dao integration stage? To become one with the Dao, I am the Dao and the Dao is me. The Dao integration stage is also known as true immortal, which is a level truly belonging to immortals. Dao integration? Perhaps observing the Daoist immortal scripture will help my 7th rank chapter? Lin Yuan thought to himself. It has to be said that the immortal cultivation system indeed has exceptional aspects, and the farther along one gets, the more terrifying the powers wielded by those true immortals become. Unfortunately, the end of this cultivation system seems to have been occupied by a certain existence. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. The immortal path prevails in this world, and it just so happens that an ascension platform connecting to the spirit realm, suitable for the immortal cultivation system, appears? How can this be merely coincidence? In the Dragon Tiger world, there were supreme beings from the upper realms making arrangements, leaving behind the true martial sword and the primeval demon spirit. And in this world, Lin Yuan still sensed traces of the meddling of even higher powers. Even if separated by worlds, even the supreme beings cannot traverse the gap through nothingness and will be subject to severe restrictions. At most, they can only lower their methods. Lin Yuan grew increasingly aware of the terror of the door to the myriad realms, a means that defied both space and time constraints to forcefully project oneself into a particular world, and deemed it inconceivable. To know, the door to the myriad realms can not only perform consciousness descent but also allow physical traversal, and as long as there is enough world-breaking origin force, it can even precisely lock onto and traverse to a specific world. After pondering for a moment, Lin Yuan got up and walked out of the cave dwelling. His strength and realm had now reached a certain limit. Even if he continued to retreat, he might not gain anything in the next several decades or 100 years. This was not because heaven-defying comprehension was insufficient. Lin Yuan could open the 7th rank path now if he did not care about the potential. But there are differences between the 7th rank and the 7th rank. Some 7th rank evolution pathways have the potential to ascend to the 9th stage evolution path. Some 7th rank evolution pathways, however, have no chance of ascending even to the 8th rank. Spiritual energy swirled around Bayou Island, and layers of formation light shielded the entire island. Wuji. Jun Dongjin, Mu Lianer, Jun Xiaoyao, Jun Zhilan, and others, seeing Lin Yuan come out, greeted him promptly. The disturbance caused by Lin Yuan's recent breakthrough was not insignificant, as cultivators with a bit of strength everywhere in the world sensed it. Father, mother. Lin Yuan walked over. How are things on the island now? Lin Yuan asked casually. Spending most of his time in seclusion, Lin Yuan had left most of the affairs of the White Jade Pavilion to his disciples, as well as to his parents and elder brother and sister. However, Jun Dongjin and Mu Lianer were not too keen on intervening in the affairs of the White Jade Pavilion, but Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Zhilan showed some interest. Master! Li Qing stepped forward. As Lin Yuan's disciple, She was primarily responsible for all affairs of the White Jade Pavilion. Even Jun Xiaoyao and Jun Zhilan were only helping her. Currently in the White Jade Pavilion, there are 16 million disciples at the first rank martial Tao, 890 million at the second rank, 110,000 at the third rank, 2,421 at the fourth rank stage martial Tao, and 24 at the fifth rank. Chapter 278 Ascension Platform. Please subscribe. _2. Li Qing paused for a moment, then whispered, "No disciple has yet cultivated to the sixth stage martial Tao, indeed." Lin Yuan nodded slightly. The martial path evolutionary path had only been spreading for a little more than 200 years, yet it had already cultivated so many practitioners, which could be considered rapid development. In fact, the fastest development of the martial path evolutionary path occurred in the last 100 years. 100 years ago, Lin Yuan, with an absolutely overwhelming manner, approached the gates of Daoist Immortal sect. Even though he ultimately did not breach Mount Morality Immortal, who didn't know of his invincible might. Hence, the martial path evolutionary path propagated by Lin Yuan naturally attracted countless people, especially the heterodox and left paths from the Eastern Sea Islands, who were particularly eager to join White Jade Pavilion. Sixth stage martial Tao. Even with Lin Yuan's guidance, White Jade Pavilion has yet to produce a sixth stage martial Tao practitioner. Lin Yuan was not surprised by this fact. The sixth rank corresponded to the ancient saint of refinement void. Even in the main world, the leap from the fifth to sixth rank was a threshold. The essence of life for sixth rank evolvers transformed, enabling them to imprint their life seals onto the cosmic starry skies. In this world, the ancient saint of refinement void was undoubtedly the ceiling of combat power. Even a strong force like Daoist Immortal sect was mostly guarded by a single ancient saint. Actually, had it not been for Lin Yuan's sudden enlightenment in the main world, breaking the limitations of the martial path evolutionary path to make it inclusive of everything, otherwise, now not to mention sixth stage martial Tao, probably there would only be a few at the fourth or fifth stages. Not everyone possesses talent in the domain of Taiyin Taiyang Taiji. Next, I need to take a trip away. After chatting with his family and disciples for a while, Lin Yuan spoke up. Leaving? Mu Lianer had a guess in her heart and tentatively asked, "Wuji, are you thinking of going to Mount Morality Immortal?" 100 years ago, Lin Yuan did not force his way into Mount Morality Immortal. 100 years later, after several breakthroughs, the purpose of Lin Yuan leaving Baiyu Island is self-evident. Right. Lin Yuan nodded. Mount Morality Immortal was indeed one of his goals. Wuji, Mu Lianer sighed, wanting to say more but hesitating. "Mother, rest assured, I have a sense of measure in what I do," Lin Yuan comforted. His trip to Daoist Immortal sect was indeed with the intent of negotiating. Of course, those eligible to negotiate with Lin Yuan could only be the ancestral masters of the spirit realm from Daoist Immortal sect. Outside Baiyu Island, the figure of Lin Yuan appeared. Daoist Immortal sect. Lin Yuan glanced in the direction of the central divine continent. Before heading to Daoist Immortal sect, Lin Yuan had another matter to attend to. That was the deep sea beneath the very Baiyu Island. More precisely, it was the deep sea bottom underneath Baiyu Island. The position of Baiyu Island was not fixed. It would sink to the bottom of the deep sea every 2,000 years, and then resurface after another 2,000 years. Now, Baiyu Island had already become the holy land for martial Dao cultivators. Even in the future, when the focal point of the martial arts system might shift to Central Divine Continent, the position of Baiyu Island would still be irreplaceable. Just as in the main world, it is the same as the ancestral star, the mother star of the Human Civilization Alliance. The territory of the Human Civilization Alliance is vast, encompassing countless life planets. But there is only one ancestral star, the mother star. Its symbolic significance exceeds all else. In this scenario, if Baiyu Island were to continue to follow the 2,000-year pattern of sinking and floating, it would naturally be somewhat inappropriate. The bottom of the deep sea. It was almost completely dark here. Terrible pressure from the sea bore down from all directions. Even nascent soul stage, divinity transformation stage cultivators didn't dare to stay in such an environment for long periods of time. What's more, in the bottom of the deep sea, the most terrifying thing is not the extreme environment, but rather those ancient and ferocious demonic beasts that have existed for tens of thousands of years. Following below Bayou Island, Lin Yuan came to the bottom of the deep sea. This place is a deep sea eye. Every 2,000 years, as sea water circulates, a tremendous suction force emerges, devouring vast amounts of sea water and conveying it to the other side of the East Sea, in an endless cycle, once every 2,000 years, Lin Yuan thought to himself. And Bayou Island was right above the eye of the sea. Whenever a suction force emerged, the island would uncontrollably sink until it reached the bottom of the deep sea and blocked the eye of the sea, only then stopping. Once the suction force disappeared, Bayou Island naturally floated back up. To resist this suction force isn't difficult, one just needs to seal this eye of the sea, he said. Not to mention an ancient saint of refinement void, even a Mahayana phase heaven lord could do it. Only, Lin Yuan glanced around. With his perception, he naturally noticed that many deep-sea behemoths with terrifying auras were nearby. Should he start sealing the eye of the sea, he would definitely alarm those deep-sea behemoths. With their enormous bodies and the fact they were in their home territory, even an ancient saint of refinement void, if surrounded by a group of deep-sea behemoths, would probably only be able to flee in a sorry state. But for Lin Yuan, of course, this wasn't an issue. Seal. Lin Yuan looked towards the eye of the deep sea, his mind slightly stirring, releasing strands of essence that began to seal the massive eye of the sea. Far away, many deep-sea behemoths noticed the disturbance. They immediately started to approach. The next moment, these deep-sea behemoths seemed to realize something. They fled at speeds tens of times faster than when they had approached. Quite astute, he said. Lin Yuan glanced at those deep-sea behemoths frantically fleeing. He had intentionally let out a small trace of his aura, which nearly scared the behemoths out of their wits. While the behemoths of the deep sea had low spiritual wisdom, they weren't stupid. Feeling an aura far surpassing their own, who would dare to approach? An hour later, Lin Yuan completely sealed the eye of the deep sea. He then left the seabed and headed in the direction of the central divine continent. Mount Morality Immortal. Lin Yuan's form appeared without a sound. 100 years had passed, yet Mount Morality Immortal had not changed. But the disciples of the sect had obviously become much more low-key. If they had no important business, they almost never left Mount Morality Immortal. You two stay outside, he said. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment, his mind slightly moving, and Yin spirit and Yang spirit emerged, standing on each side of him. Although with Lin Yuan's current strength, even if the Daoist Immortal sect really did summon the ancestral masters of the spirit realm, it would likely be useless, posing no threat to Lin Yuan. But it's always best to be cautious, just in case. For safety, Lin Yuan decided to keep Yin spirit and Yang spirit outside. Lin Yuan's original self and Yin spirit and Yang spirit were a united three. As long as one still existed, the other two could be reborn, even if they were annihilated or fallen. Tai Yin giving rise to Tai Yang, or Tai Yang giving rise to Tai Yin. Finally, Taiji giving birth to all things, where all things refer to Lin Yuan's physical body. Leave a drop of essence blood outside, he said. Lin Yuan raised his right hand. A drop of crimson essence blood emerged, falling into the Yang spirit. Though Tai Yin and Tai Yang blended into Taiji, which in turn fostered the physical body, this method would take a considerable amount of time. And it would also consume some origin source. If he used essence blood instead, it would be much better. The physical body divine ability that Lin Yuan mastered, blood rebirth. Even with only a drop of fresh blood, he could quickly be reborn, such was the power of divine skills. Now it's about time, he said. Lin Yuan looked at the preparations he made, a smile appearing on his face. With these precautions, even if the most unlikely situation occurred, he could recover as quickly as possible. Daoist Immortal Sect. Lin Yuan turned his head, looking toward the Immortal Mountain not far off. The many sect protection arrays passed through Lin Yuan's eyes. If it had been 100 years earlier, Lin Yuan would have had to forcefully break through these sect protection arrays. But after 100 years, besides cultivating, he also refined his against heaven's understanding, completely grasping all the sect protection arrays of the Daoist Immortal sect. 100 years ago, the combined strike of Lin Yuan's original Yang God and Yin God self was even aimed at observing the operation of the formation. Under the immense pressure caused by Lin Yuan's intervention, the Daoist Immortal sect's many sect protection arrays operated beyond their capacity, allowing Lin Yuan to witness some of their essence. Through against heaven's understanding of these formation essences, Lin Yuan now could definitely be called the top formation master in the central divine continent. Especially regarding the many sect protection arrays of the Daoist Immortal sect, he knew them like the back of his hand and could easily come and go as he pleased. Chapter 279 The Coordinates of the Spirit Realm. It's not impossible. Returning tomorrow, please subscribe. Mount Morality Immortal. At the highest court, Mu Qinglu and Mu Mengting's expressions were grave. Not long ago, a presence from the East Sea had transmitted over, causing the two of them to feel restless. If before, Mu Qinglu had great confidence in the ancestral protective formation of the Immortal sect, believing that no one could break through and invade, the event 100 years ago, where Jun Wuji resembled a true immortal, splitting himself into 3 avatars and shaking Mount Morality Immortal to its core, changed that. Mu Qinglu then lost some of his confidence. At that time, he realized that Mount Morality Immortal could indeed be shaken by attack. And in the past 100 years, he sensed at least 3 times the breakthrough auras coming from the East Sea. Mu Qinglia's heart grew increasingly uneasy. 100 years ago, Jun Wuji nearly succeeded in breaching Mount Morality Immortal. Now another 100 years has passed, and if the enemy continued to act against the Daoist Immortal sect, would Mount Morality Immortal still be able to stand? Mu Qinglia's expression grew even more solemn. In his heart, he already had the answer. It would not hold. Even 100 years ago, if Jun Wuji had decided to stay and suppress Mount Morality Immortal with the strength of his true body and the 2 avatars, he completely could have gradually eroded the sect protection array of the Daoist Immortal sect. A few 100 years of such, the sect protection array of Mount Morality Immortal might even break without attack. Sect Master. The ancestral masters of the spirit realm, what did they say? Mu Mengting was equally uneasy, and compared to Mu Qinglu, he felt even greater pressure. Who didn't know he was rivals with Jun Dongjin? He had even secretly sent someone with a symbol talisman of the ethereal refinement stage to kill Jun Dongjin. Now that Jun Dongjin's son possessed such great capability, if Mount Morality Immortal were to be breached, could he possibly come to a good end? I have already spoken to the ancestral masters. The ancestors said, if Jun Wuji attacks the Immortal Mountain next time, we can contact him at any moment, Mu Qinglu said softly. Having witnessed Jun Wuji's capabilities threatening the Daoist Immortal sect 100 years ago, he had already reached out to the ancestral masters of the spirit realm. That was the response from the ancestors at that time. In the recent decades, whenever Lin Yuan broke through, he would contact the ancestral masters of the spirit realm, always receiving the same reply. That's good. Mu Mengting sighed slightly with relief. The only ones who could provide him with a sense of security now were the lofty ancestral masters of the spirit realm. Actually, Mu Mengting felt quite aggrieved. Ancient saints of refinement void in the history of the Daoist Immortal sect, weren't they all lorded over everything, commanding heaven and earth? Even if the last generation's immortal sect leader were still alive, the newly born ancient saint would be showered in numerous honors and preside with authority. But his case was different. Just having broken through to the refining void period, becoming an ancient saint, he ushered in the darkest era for the Daoist Immortal sect in tens of thousands of years. He nearly failed to protect his own Immortal Mountain's gates, causing all sect disciples to tremble with fear, and as an ancient saint of refinement void, he didn't even dare to leave the house, afraid that Jun Wuji might seize the opportunity to kill him. With the ancestral masters of the spirit realm present, that Jun Wuji, Mu Mengting was just about to spit out some harsh words. Suddenly, a voice transmitted over. In what? At that utterance, Mu Mengting froze for a moment, as if trying to figure out who had said those words. But the next instant, Mu Mengting started to tremble all over. For as he turned his head, he saw a figure appearing out of nowhere, seated on one side of the great hall. This figure had a calm countenance and did not emanate the slightest hint of a strong presence, but by merely standing there, it nearly suffocated Mu Mengting, the ancient saint of refinement void. Jun Wuji. It's Jun Wuji. How did he get in? How did he appear here? Countless thoughts flashed through Mu Mengting's mind. At this moment he was utterly baffled. The sect protection array outside showed no sign of being alerted, nor had it been breached. How could Jun Wuji have entered? Jun Wuji? Mu Qinglu also saw Jun Wuji. His face turned slightly pale at this moment. However, no matter how frightened and uneasy Mu Qinglu and Mu Mengting felt inside, they never thought about running. What a joke! Where could they run to? This was the safest place in the Daoist Immortal sect. If Jun Wuji could enter here without a sound, it was as if there was nothing in the world that could stop Jun Wuji anymore. All right. Let's get down to business. Lin Yuan looked at Mu Qinglu. Take me to the Ascension platform. The spread of martial Tao in this realm didn't give the Taoist Immortal sect master much of a say. The main decision rested with the Immortal sect ancestors of the spirit realm. This time Lin Yuan came to the Daoist Immortal sect to negotiate with the ancestral masters of the Immortal sect in the spirit realm. Okay. Mu Qinglu fell silent for a moment and immediately agreed. With Lin Yuan's strength, had he come with the intention to kill the moment he appeared in the hall, none of them would have survived. Given that, Mu Qinglu knew what he had to do. Follow me. In the end, Mu Qinglu took a deep look at Lin Yuan. He looked at the man who was once his own grandson. Sect Master, the Ascension platform is actually my Mu Mengting. Seeing this, immediately became anxious. The Ascension platform was key to contacting the ancestral masters of the spirit realm, the Daoist Immortal sect's last trump card, and now they were just going to bring Jun Wuji to it? Be quiet. Lin Yuan glanced at Mu Mengting. In an instant, Mu Mengting's gaze dimmed, his vitality slipping away. Mengting. Seeing this, Mu Qinglu inwardly sighed. Mu Mengting already had a vendetta with the Jun family and had even sent people to kill Jun Dongjin and his family before. In such circumstances, if Mu Mengting had kept a low profile, trying as much as possible not to attract attention, perhaps he could have lived. But unfortunately, Mu Qinglu didn't know what to say. Didn't he see that even I was being so cooperative, still thinking about preserving the Ascension platform? At the deepest part of the Daoist Immortal sect, within a secret realm, Mu Qinglu stopped walking. This is where the Ascension platform is kept. Chapter 280 The Coordinates of the Spirit Realm. It's not impossible. Returning tomorrow, please subscribe. _2. Mu Qinglu looked at Lin Yuan and said softly, Open. Lin Yuan nodded. This indeed matched the location of the rift in space he had sensed. Mu Qinglu was quite tactful, not scheming on this matter. Very well. What Mu Qinglu did not know was, if he had harbored any other intentions, Lin Yuan would have seen right through him. At Lin Yuan's current realm, space was like paper before him. He could clearly feel every fluctuation. Whoosh. Under Mu Qinglius manipulation, the entrance to the secret realm was gradually being opened. The space inside revealed itself. At the deepest part of the space, a portal only half a meter tall, made of stone, came into view. Is that the Ascension platform? Lin Yuan's gaze shifted there. This stone portal faintly had spatial fluctuations swirling around it, and the portal itself displayed a silvery white color. The instant Lin Yuan gazed at this portal, a majestic and grand door to the myriad realms in the depths of his mind suddenly began to glow. Seemingly invisible fluctuations swept over the distant Ascension platform. A moment later, a stream of information from the door to the myriad realms was transmitted to Lin Yuan's mind. Oh! Lin Yuan was slightly startled. He glanced at Mu Qinglu next to him. He noticed that Mu Qinglu had not perceived any of the recent changes. It was as if the power sweeping out from the door to the myriad realms existed in another dimension, unnoticed by anyone. Coordinates of the spirit realm. Lin Yuan rubbed his brow. The information transmitted from the door to the myriad realms was indeed the coordinates of the spirit realm. At this very moment, Lin Yuan partially immersed his consciousness into his mind. He gazed at that majestic and grand door to the myriad realms. If one were to observe, they would find that near the threshold of the door to the myriad realms, there existed 5 seals. These 5 seals represented the coordinates of the martial world, dragon tiger world, divine arms world, 5 regions world, and the current immortal Tao world. These 5 worlds, all of which Lin Yuan had once traversed, were thus locked onto by the door to the myriad realms, capturing their coordinates. Because of this, armed with the world coordinates, Lin Yuan could spend 10 strands of world-breaking origin force to revisit these worlds. But now, following those 5 world coordinate seals, a 6th world coordinate seal formed anew. It was the spirit realm's world coordinates. Although Lin Yuan had not descended into the spirit realm, the ascension platform was connected to the spirit realm, and it naturally contained the spirit realm's coordinates inside. The force from the door to the myriad realms had just swept the ascension platform, copying its internal world coordinates. Spirit realm. Lin Yuan's expression was slightly odd. Theoretically, with the spirit realm's coordinates, Lin Yuan could return to the main world and spend 10 strands of world-breaking origin force to descend to the spirit realm once more. Seeing Lin Yuan intently looking at the ascension platform, Mu Qinglu did not dare to urge him and could only continue to wait. Let your immortal sect ancestors come down. Lin Yuan waited patiently for a while, confirming that there were no other world coordinates inside the ascension platform. Then he spoke. Ah! At these words, Mu Qinglu was slightly shaken. He didn't expect Lin Yuan to be so forthright, giving him time to summon the ancestral masters of the spirit realm. Very well. Mu Qinglu hesitated for a moment, then agreed. After all, this was what Lin Yuan had asked him to do. Whatever happened later had nothing to do with him. Mu Qinglu entered the secret realm and approached the ascension platform, his demeanor respectful, employing a secret technique, his lips barely moving as if uttering some words. A moment later, the ascension platform began to glow. Spatial fluctuations started to intensify, as if a terrifying power was piercing through 2 worlds, descending along a fixed spatial passage. In front of the ascension platform, the figure of a Daoist wearing a Daoist robe slowly materialized. I am Xianxia Immortal. Are you the one who wishes to see me? The Daoist's figure was ethereal as he looked at Lin Yuan with a smile on his lips. A strand of projection from a unity realm true immortal? Lin Yuan was similarly observing the other party. The spirit realm and the central divine continent were separated by 2 realms. Even the most powerful beings from the upper realm could not descend to the lower realms in their true form. At most they could send down a projection. This projection could not stray too far from the ascension platform. Otherwise, it might lose connection with its main body in the upper realm and directly collapse. Xianxia Immortal looked at Lin Yuan. The more he observed, the more shocked he felt inside. Mu Qinglu had already informed him about the numerous pieces of intelligence regarding Lin Yuan, such as cultivating for hundreds of years, surpassing the peak of refined void, and simultaneously creating another cultivation system not inferior to the immortal path, and so on. Xianxia Immortal had also relayed this intelligence to the other ancestors of the Daoist Immortal sect. All the ancestors unanimously believed that Lin Yuan must have been seized by some powerful being from tens of thousands of years ago. Otherwise, in the central divine continent, progressing to this extent alone without the support of the Daoist Immortal sect was nearly impossible. Especially the martial Tao cultivation system, with such a conception and potential not inferior to the immortal path cultivation system, how could it be created in just a few hundred years? It must be those powerful beings who reincarnated, those who lived through the long ages, experienced many eras, obtained this martial Tao cultivation system, and are now beginning to spread it, thus stirring up a series of movements within the central divine continent. This was the truth conjectured by the ancestral masters of the immortal sects from the spirit realm. The reason Xianxia Immortal descended his projection to the lower realm this time was that among the ancestors of the Daoist Immortal sect through the ages, Xianxia Immortal had lived the longest and knew the most old monsters. Perhaps he could identify which powerful being had taken over Lin Yuan. As long as they understood Lin Yuan's origins, everything would be easy to handle. However, now, Xianxia Immortal was somewhat dazed. Because from his observations, Lin Yuan's soul and body were in perfect harmony. He didn't seem to have been seized at all. It's known that even if a true immortal of the merged path performed a seizure, there would be a slight rejection due to the different origins of the soul and body. Based on this kind of rejection, it was very easy to identify the seizer's identity. But now, there was absolutely no such sense of rejection in Lin Yuan. There were two possibilities. One was that the projection he had descended was too weak, so much so that it could not detect that kind of rejection from the seizure. The second was that Lin Yuan had not been seized. Xianxia Immortal felt that the first possibility was not likely. The projection he had descended, even if weak, was still that of a Unity Realm true immortal. With his insight, he naturally could see that Lin Yuan had not stepped into the Unity Realm. With such a difference in realms, Xianxia Immortal did not believe he could miss the sense of rejection from a seizure. Since the first possibility was ruled out, that left the second possibility. Lin Yuan reaching today's status, growing in a few hundred years to be the strongest in this realm, and even pioneering a cultivation system not inferior to the immortal path, was all by himself. Who would have thought that such a monstrous talent would emerge from the barren lower realms? Xianxia Immortal quietly watched Lin Yuan. Even in the spirit realm, such aptitude would only be found in the core disciples of the immortal king-level forces, and even pioneering a unique cultivation system distinct from the way of immortals, this potential. Xianxia Immortal's thoughts were churning. Without a doubt, Lin Yuan's potential was absolutely the most monstrous he had witnessed, even surpassing those immortal princes or even some immortal kings during their youth. After all, Lin Yuan had reached such achievements in the lower realms, while those immortal princes and young immortal kings grew up in the vast spirit realm. The two simply couldn't compare. So you wish to spread the martial Tao cultivation system in the central divine continent. Xianxia Immortal looked at Lin Yuan and slowly said. Next to him, Mu Kinglius' mind tensed upon hearing his ancestor utter these words. He vividly remembered, when he first relayed the intelligence and intentions about Lin Yuan to the ancestors, the enormity of the ancestors' reaction. Such audacity! Dreaming of spreading other cultivation systems in my central divine continent. The central divine continent, bathed in the radiance of the immortal path, can only dignify the immortal path alone. Other cultivation systems might struggle to survive, but going against the mainstream is utterly impossible. The above encapsulated the attitudes of the ancestors. This time, the reason for Xianxia Immortal's descent of power to the lower realm was not only because he had lived the longest and was most likely to recognize Lin Yuan's background, but also because Xianxia Immortal was the strongest. Even if just a projection, he could still exert combat power close to that of the Dao integration realm. Are we going to fight? I wonder if Wu Ji can match the ancestor. Mu Qinglu subconsciously took a few steps back, as if already foreseeing the tense situation that was about to unfold. But the next words from Xianxia Immortal left Mu Qinglu stunned in his place. It's not necessarily impossible, Xianxia Immortal pondered for a while, and seriously said. Chapter 281 Dao Oath, Step into 7th rank in 200 years, please subscribe. Young friend wishes to spread the martial Tao cultivation system. It's not impossible. The Xianxia Immortal quietly observed Lin Yuan for a while, and then spoke earnestly. With the vision of a late-stage Dao integration from the Xianxia Immortal, it was natural to see the immense potential in Lin Yuan. It was fair to say it was beyond belief. Such a being, upon reaching the spirit realm, would easily step into the unity path stage. He might even hope to touch upon the realms above Dao integration, looking down upon the spirit realm's domain of the immortal kings. To suppress or kill such an immortal king seed would be the most foolish choice. Because it is pointless. If successful, there would be no great benefit, and if failed, it would be a disaster. Therefore, befriending is the best choice. Even if one cannot become friends, one must never offend. Lin Yuan wanted to spread the martial Tao cultivation system in the central divine continent. This would inevitably have an impact on the immortal cultivation system, which is why Mu Qinglu dared not agree under any circumstance. If she agreed, how could she explain it to the ancestors upon ascending to the spirit realm through the ascension platform? However, as the strongest of the Daoist immortal sect in the spirit realm, Xianxia Immortal did have the authority to make this decision. To spread the martial Tao? Lin Yuan was slightly surprised to hear what the Xianxia Immortal had said. Originally, he thought that he would at least have to fight, showcasing his strength, and then negotiate with the threat of extinguishing the lineage of the Daoist immortal sect in the central divine continent, ultimately reaching some agreement. What if the Daoist immortal sect reneged later? As long as Lin Yuan didn't ascend to the spirit realm, the Daoist immortal sect wouldn't dare go back on their word. The blood demon ruler could live for tens of thousands of years, so Lin Yuan, who far surpassed the blood demon ruler, could potentially live for millions or tens of millions of years, right? Of course, that's what the outside world thought. Actually, Lin Yuan had to return to the main world in just over 200 years. But only Lin Yuan knew this. The ancestors of the Daoist immortal sect, and even those in the spirit realm, were unaware. Even if Lin Yuan disappeared, they would only assume he was hiding in some corner, quietly watching the situation in the central divine continent. And Lin Yuan could always return after leaving this world. With the world coordinates of the door to the myriad realms, he could vaguely sense the general trends of this world. And as long as he expended some world-breaking origin force, Lin Yuan could also redescend to this world. Mu Qinglu was somewhat bewildered by the sight. The Azure ancestor was compromising just like that? What about the grandiose words spoken earlier? Mu Qinglu could not understand, but he knew that every move the ancestor made had deep significance. Since the ancestor said so, he must have discovered something. That's right. The central divine continent is but one of the million lower realms of the spirit realm, nothing significant. For a genius like the young friend, the real stage is the spirit realm, spoke the Xianxia Immortal calmly. It was something Mu Qinglu found a bit difficult to get used to for a while. The spirit realm. Lin Yuan glanced at the coordinates of the spirit realm on the door of the realm. If he encountered any bottlenecks in the future that he could not overcome through regular travel, it might be worth visiting the spirit realm. What do I need to give in return? Lin Yuan asked directly. Even though the Xianxia Immortal seemed kind and approachable, Lin Yuan knew that the other party couldn't possibly be a saint. Quite simple. When the young friend ascends to the spirit realm, help the immortal sect once, if it's within your power, said the Xianxia Immortal. This was not an excessive demand. First and foremost were the words, if it's within your power, which allowed great flexibility, mainly depending on whether Lin Yuan wished to help or not. The Xianxia Immortal knew that when dealing with a genius like Lin Yuan, one should never set too stringent of a promise. No problem. Lin Yuan nodded. He had the faint feeling that the Xianxia Immortal was pleasing, investing in him. Without even the most basic restrictions, Lin Yuan was totally in the position of choosing to help or not. But regardless, his goal had been achieved. How do we ensure it? Lin Yuan asked the critical question. How to ensure that the Daoist immortal sect would continuously allow the spread of the martial Tao cultivation system. I can make a vow on the Dao. The Xianxia Immortal replied without hesitation. A vow on the Dao? Lin Yuan was slightly puzzled. Young friend might not understand, a vow on the Dao is a pledge made in the name of the great spirit realm, and even immortal kings dare not break it, the Xianxia Immortal explained smilingly. In a moment, I will make the vow and summon the attention of the spirit realm consciousness, and you will see, said the Xianxia Immortal. The atmosphere grew slightly solemn. I, Xianxia, under the witness of the great spirit realm consciousness, hereby swear. The Xianxia Immortal went over the promises related to the spread of martial Tao in detail. After listening, Lin Yuan found no issues, at least the Xianxia Immortal wasn't playing any word games. In fact, the other party couldn't possibly cheat on this matter. Since he wanted to befriend Lin Yuan and was optimistic about Lin Yuan's future potential, the least he could offer was sincerity. A vow on the Dao. As soon as the Cangqing Immortal finished making the vow, Lin Yuan faintly felt a distant and magnificent fluctuation that came through. These fluctuations did not come through the ascension platform but descended from outside the world. The vibrations circled around the Cangqing Immortal once, and Lin Yuan had the feeling that should the Cangqing Immortal break the vow, this wisp of vibrations would appear again. The world consciousness of the spirit realm can actually be used like this? Lin Yuan was a bit surprised. Compared to the worlds Lin Yuan had previously traversed, the world consciousness of the spirit realm was in an exceedingly mature state, almost indistinguishable from the heavenly Tao. Young friend, do you feel reassured now? The Cangqing Immortal, sensing the vibrations had dissipated, looked at Lin Yuan with a smiling face. I have another request. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment and continued. Chapter 282 Dao Oath. Step into the 7th rank after 200 years, seeking subscriptions, _2. Mu Qinglius' mouth twitched slightly. Daring to negotiate terms with his own ancestor, Lin Yuan was indeed the first. Please speak, young friend. The Cangqing Immortal said nonchalantly. A sacred oath was already established. Any further requests were insignificant. I hope that if the martial Tao cultivation system can give birth to a 6th rank, they should also have the opportunity to ascend to the spirit realm via the ascension platform. Lin Yuan stated. The spirit realm, far surpassing the central divine continent, would allow cultivators of the martial arts evolution system to go there and settle, which would greatly benefit the spread of Lin Yuan's martial Tao. Of course, without Lin Yuan's protection, the spread of the martial arts evolution system in the spirit realm might not go smoothly. But this was just a casual move Lin Yuan had laid out. Success or failure did not matter much. Securing an opportunity for this world's cultivators to ascend to the spirit realm was already a worthy achievement. No problem. The Cangqing Immortal nodded. Allowing the spread of the martial Tao cultivation system, ascending through the ascension platform was naturally not difficult. Subsequently, under Lin Yuan's gaze, the Cangqing Immortal made another sacred oath. After Lin Yuan left, the smile on the Cangqing Immortal's face faded. Ancestor, Mu Qinglu started to speak but hesitated. The conversation between the ancestor and Jun Wuji had issues that even he could perceive. The Cangqing Immortal was simply letting Jun Wuji take advantage of him. You don't understand. The Cangqing Immortal glanced at Mu Qinglu, shook his head and said, such a genius, even in the spirit realm, could shine brilliantly. If he can approach me with requests now, after 1,000 or 10,000 years, I wouldn't even be able to beg him for that. The gaze of the Cangqing Immortal remained calm. After all, for him, there was no significant loss. Even if he let the martial Tao spread, the immortal path still existed. The next leader of the immortal sect will be chosen from the direct descendants of this young friend. The Cangqing Immortal thought for a while, then added. Usually, he did not concern himself with the selection of the leader for the immortal sect of the central divine continent, because such matters barely caught his interest, but now, involving Jun Wuji, he had to intervene. Yes. Mu Qinglu responded respectfully. At this moment, he also felt the Cangqing ancestor's emphasis on Jun Wuji. Having dispatched the Cangqing Immortal, Mu Qinglu returned, with mixed feelings, to the highest hall on Immortal Mountain. Mu Qinglu immediately noticed Jun Wuji standing outside the Grand Hall. I wish to peruse the Daoist Immortal Scripture. Lin Yuan stated his purpose. The Daoist Immortal Scripture contained crucial descriptions about the Dao integration stage, which Lin Yuan found quite interesting. Mu Qinglu was silent for a while, considering the attitude of the Cangqing Immortal, and readily handed over the Daoist Immortal Scripture that only the successive leaders were qualified to cultivate. Top the 9 heavens. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. In his mind, numerous descriptions of the Daoist Immortal Scripture emerged continuously. Your perception is contrary to the heavens. Your comprehension of the Daoist Immortal Scripture deepens your understanding of the essence of the Dao integration stage. Your perception is contrary to the heavens. Your comprehension of the Daoist Immortal Scripture deepens your understanding of the essence of the Dao integration stage. Your perception is contrary to the heavens. Your comprehension of the Taoist immortal scripture deepens your understanding of the essence of the Dao integration stage. Dao integration stage, 7th rank. Lin Yuan appeared thoughtful. Studying the Taoist immortal scripture indeed was helpful for opening the 7th rank chapter of the martial path evolutionary path for Lin Yuan. Currently, the beginning of the 7th rank chapter of the martial path evolutionary path has 12 directions. These 12 directions, possessing their own nature and advantages, yet I still find them somewhat lacking. Lin Yuan frowned slightly. After mastering the Taoist immortal scripture, Lin Yuan once again opened up 4 new directions for the 7th rank chapter, still seeing a discrepancy with what he envisioned for the 7th rank chapter of the martial path evolutionary path. Should I wait a bit longer? Or should I break into the 7th rank first and see? Lin Yuan pondered for a while and decided to choose the latter. If he were in the main world, he would have definitely planned to take things slow and continue to comprehend. After all, the body in the main world was his original, and after the 6th rank, once a wrong path was taken, it was hard to turn back, especially between the 6th and 7th ranks, which were crucial stages. But in world traversal, even if he took the wrong path, it would not affect Lin Yuan's original body. After the 6th rank, it is very hard to turn back because the evolutionary path being cultivated already affects the soul. In such a case, neither switching to a well-copied body nor consuming rare spiritual objects to cleanse the body could be of any use. Because the influence on the soul would not disappear. As for cleansing the soul is extremely mysterious. Who would dare to cleanse their own soul lightly? Aren't they afraid of an irreversible doom? However, these limitations could not constrain the current Lin Yuan. Every time he traversed worlds, it was a descent of consciousness. What is consciousness? It is an essence even more core than the soul. Be it the 6th rank or the 7th rank, or even the 8th rank, they all involve the soul, but it's hard for them to affect consciousness. Lin Yuan was clearly dissatisfied with all 12 directions of the 7th rank chapter, yet he still chose one to forcefully break through. Not only because it wouldn't affect his original body, but also because there is a qualitative difference between the 6th and 7th ranks. Even a superficial 7th rank is still 7th rank. Being in this realm, everything he sees, thinks, knows, and contemplates surpasses that of the 6th rank. If Lin Yuan steps into the 7th rank, he can completely look down from a high place and recomprehend the progress from the 6th rank chapter to the 7th rank chapter in the martial path evolutionary path. In the main world, those evolution scholars who possess the power of the 8th or even 9th rank, given such a height, it isn't difficult to establish a tremendously potential 3rd, 4th, and 5th rank evolutionary path. Time slowly passed. 100 years flickered by. Since Lin Yuan and the Daoist immortal sect's ancestral master of the spirit realm, Xianxia Immortal, reached an agreement. The White Jade Pavilion has seen unprecedented development and even began mutually beneficial cooperation with the Daoist immortal sect. The immortal sect leader Mu Qinglu even personally came to Baiyu Island to discuss many matters with Jun Dongjin and Mu Liana. Mu Qinglu expressed the intention to invite Jun Dongjin to become the next sect leader of the immortal sect. As for this, Jun Dongjin had little interest. Since his century-long stay at Vast Cliff Mountain, Jun Dongjin had seen through the so-called struggle for power. He liked the environment of Baiyu Island, so he declined Mu Qinglius' invitation. Finally, through final discussions, Jun Xiaoyao was appointed the next sect leader of the immortal sect. Jun Xiaoyao is Jun Wuji's older brother, closely related by blood, meeting the requirements that Xianxia Immortal had for the next generation's sect leader of the immortal sect. In the far west, this place was more remote than the barbarian wilderness, with almost no spiritual energy, hence it was rarely visited by people, and even vitality-resilient demonic beasts rarely settled in this area. On a large rock, a figure indeed lay there. 7th rank. Did not expect there to be world suppression? Lin Yuan felt somewhat helpless in his heart. Decades ago, he had been very close to the 7th rank, but when he tried to break through, he could indeed feel the suppression from nature. No wonder hundreds of thousands of years ago, there were many great beings who surpassed the void refinement limit, but there wasn't a single one in the Tao integration stage. Until the Ascension platform appeared, those great beings who ascended to the spirit realm gradually stepped into the Tao integration stage. Lin Yuan sighed. What to do? I don't want to enter the spirit realm through the Ascension platform. Lin Yuan fell deep in thought. Not knowing what lay on the other side of the Ascension platform, Lin Yuan did not want to take risks with his life. Besides, even if he wanted to enter the spirit realm, Lin Yuan would use the door to the myriad realms, entering the spirit realm through a descent of consciousness. This method would allow perfect integration into the spirit realm without being deliberately targeted. The so-called world suppression is not absolutely insurmountable to break through to the 7th rank. Lin Yuan thought to himself. Over the past decades, he had been trying to figure out a method to evade world suppression, and now he had some clues. Take it slow. There's still more than 100 years left. Lin Yuan wasn't in a hurry. As long as he broke through to the 7th rank within the time limit of his stay, it would be sufficient. Time slowly passed. 100 years went by once again. At the edge of the East Sea, the area was still an endless ocean. In theory, no one should come here. After all, there is little spiritual energy, and cultivators wouldn't even glance at it. And ordinary people? They couldn't even reach this place. Above the ocean, tsunamis, giant beasts, and many other threats are simply insurmountable for ordinary people. But at this moment, a small boat was drifting on the calm sea surface. An inexplicable energy from within the boat began to spread to all directions. Chapter 283 Return, Subscription Request. Daoist Immortal Sect. Sect Master Mu Qinglu stood at the highest point. The current Daoist Immortal Sect. Mu Qinglu silently gazed at the numerous disciples below him. Ever since martial Tao cultivators had been accepted, the sect's disciples had become visibly more relaxed. After all, the entity supporting the martial Tao cultivation system was terrifying. Many disciples were unaware of Lin Yuan's current strength. Just over 300 years ago, Lin Yuan split his being into 3 and together had nearly brought Mount Morality Immortal to collapse. That horrific scene still haunted many of the sect's disciples. And now, the Immortal Path and Martial Tao were in a state of semi-fusion, and Wuji's older brother, Jun Xiaoyao, was now being groomed as the future sect master. A silver lining in misfortune. Mu Qinglu sighed. In this moment and scene, it was far better than having enraged Wuji, with both sides standing completely opposed. At least, Mu Qinglu didn't dare imagine what that outcome would be like. But why hasn't Wuji come over yet? The Ascension platform is always ready. Mu Qinglu was puzzled. Logically speaking, 200 years ago, Wuji's strength had already reached the world's upper limit. According to the ancestral masters of the spirit realm, under the world suppression in Central Divine Continent, one could only endlessly approach the Unity Path stage. As for stepping into the Unity Path stage, there was basically no chance. This had nothing to do with talent, but with the restrictions of heaven and earth. As Mu Qinglu puzzled over this, a deep, ancient aura emanated from the end of the East Sea. What is this? Mu Qinglius' pupils narrowed. This aura, while not comparable to that which Lin Yuan broke through 200 years ago, triggering a response from even middling strength cultivators between heaven and earth. Yet, at this moment, Mu Qinglu felt his soul trembling. It was as though the source of this breath was an existence that stood shoulder to shoulder with the entire cosmos. Is it Wuji? Mu Qinglu steadied his spirit and immediately rushed to the deepest part of Immortal Mountain, inside the secret realm where the Ascension platform was placed. Mu Qinglu unhesitatingly activated the Ascension platform and contacted the ancestral masters of the spirit realm. What is the matter exactly? Does the old man need to pay a price just to come down here? A slightly irritable voice transmitted, clearly not that of the previous Xianxia Immortal. As the strongest individual of the Daoist Immortal sect in the spirit realm, with cultivation at the late stages of Tao integration, Xianxia Immortal mostly spent his time in secluded cultivation. Only when the continents of the divine continent were at a life-or-death juncture would he be informed. After settling the arrangement with Lin Yuan, the Daoist Immortal sect essentially had no worries of destruction, which is why Xianxia Immortal no longer continued his supervision. According to Xianxia Immortal's instructions, the next time he was to be contacted would be when Wuji ascended to the spirit realm. Its Xinyan ancestor, Mu Qinglia's heart trembled again. Among the many immortal ancestors in the Daoist Immortal sect, Xinyan ancestor was known for his fiery temperament, and historically, sect leaders feared dealing with him. After all, a careless mistake could result in punishment from Xinyan ancestor. Though the punishments wouldn't harm the foundation, since they were all descendants of the sect, it would definitely be a bitter experience. Ancestor, it's concerning Wuji, Mu Qinglu immediately said. Wuji? Xinyan ancestor frowned. The junior that Xianxia favors? Although not as powerful as Xianxia, Xinyan ancestor was very close, and 200 years ago, Xianxia Immortal had gathered them together to discuss Wuji and even proclaimed his own Dao oath. Xinyan ancestor was somewhat in disagreement. He didn't believe that a mere junior from the lower realms of Central Divine Continent could potentially ascend to Immortal King. That was an immortal king. Xinyan ancestor wasn't questioning Xianxia Immortal's judgment. He just felt that perhaps Xianxia Immortal might have overlooked something. That Wuji was not the kind of talent he imagined, who could simply step into the Unity Path stage as easily as eating or drinking water once he ascended to the spirit realm, and possibly reach the realm of an immortal king. Forget the immortal king, even in the spirit realm, which was the dominion of giants, how easy could it be to step into the Unity Path stage, also known as the immortal realm? Xinyan ancestor was skeptical. Xinyan ancestor was about to speak, questioning precisely what was happening with Wuji, when he too sensed that ancient aura emanating from the end of the East Sea. Is this God merging with the cosmos, someone stepping into the Unity Path stage? Xinyan ancestor's eyes widened. Unity Path stage immortals are considered powerful even in the spirit realm, belonging to the ruling class. Xinyan ancestor had sensed many refined void cultivators' auras when they stepped into the Unity Path stage, thus he was very familiar with such an aura. If it were in the spirit realm, Xinyan ancestor wouldn't find anything unusual. The spirit realm is vast, with a higher world limit, making it perfectly normal for a new Unity Path stage immortal to emerge. But what place is this? It's the lower realms. It's Central Divine Continent. Tens of thousands of years ago, those of them who had surpassed the void refinement limit had already determined that no Unity Path stage could be born in this realm, one could only endlessly approach it. Is that Wuji? Xinyan ancestor turned his head, staring at Mu Qinglu. It should be, Mu Qinglu nodded. This deep and ancient aura had traces of Wuji's aura from before. And within this realm, who else but Wuji could unleash such an aura? Monster, Xinyan ancestor swallowed hard. This was stepping into the Unity Path stage? He had himself ascended to the spirit realm in his time, expending countless heart forces, just to advance to the Unity Path stage, yet a junior from later generations had achieved this so effortlessly? And, moreover, in Central Divine Continent, where theoretically it was impossible to give birth to a Unity Path stage in this lower realm. Such talent. Could it be that old guy, Xianxia, underestimated him? Chapter 284 Return, Subscription Request, _2. Xinyan ancestors' thoughts surged. Below the spirit realm, there are a million lower realms, just like the Central Divine China world. But since ancient times, no lower realm had ever produced a cultivator who ascended during the Dao integration period. This was too inconceivable. Ancestor, what should we do now? Mu Qinglu asked in a low voice. What should we do? Xinyan ancestor glanced at Mu Qinglu. What else can we do? If it had been before Lin Yuan had broken through to the Dao integration period, Xinyan ancestor still had confidence that, with this projection, he could manage wrist to wrist with him. But now, the opponent's strength almost caught up to his own true self in the spirit realm. What wrist was there to manage? Wasn't that just humiliating oneself? However, breaking through to the Tao integration period enables one to survive in the chaotic void flows. Central Divine China world, being a lower realm under the spirit realm, merely requires breaking through this realm. With the strength of the Tao integration period, one can completely follow the chaotic void flows and enter the spirit realm. Jinyan ancestor quietly thought to himself. Ancient saints of the nether refinement period don't have the ability to survive in the chaotic void flows, so if they desire to enter the spirit realm, they must pass through the ascension platform and ascend via a stable spatial channel. But for those at the Tao integration stage, this isn't really necessary. With the strength of a Tao integration stage immortal, one can actively travel to the spirit realm. The spirit realm is situated above the world of Central Divine China, and Tao integration stage immortals can easily sense the aura of the spirit realm. This is the 7th rank. At the ends of the East Sea, on the tranquil surface of the sea, a smile appeared on Lin Yuan's face. At this moment his aura was subdued, but he could easily tear open spatial rifts. The suppression of heaven and earth, it's just like that. Lin Yuan's mind was delighted. This world suppressed the breakthrough from refined void to Tao integration. That is, from the 6th rank to the 7th rank. Even the strongest individuals could only come infinitely close to the Tao integration stage. But with Lin Yuan's against heaven's understanding, he soon thought of a method to step into the Tao integration stage. That was to separate his true self from the Yin spirit and Yang spirit. True self, Yin spirit, and Yang spirit all cultivate to infinitesimally close to the Tao integration period. Then the three recombine, and their powers merge and stack. Quantitative changes cause qualitative changes, ultimately forcing a breakthrough into the 7th rank. Such a wonderful feeling. Lin Yuan closed his eyes, sinking into some deep immersion. After stepping into the 7th rank, Lin Yuan's realm rose higher, and his perception of everything far surpassed that of the 6th rank. The same leaf, viewed while at the 6th rank and the 7th rank, brings very different experiences, not to mention all things under heaven and earth. Against heaven's understanding is also like this, depending on the height of Lin Yuan's standing. Had Lin Yuan been just a common person, the most he could have devised would have been martial Tao skills of the 1st or 2nd rank. But now Lin Yuan was equivalent to an immortal of the spirit realm, and the essence of all things in the world was slowly unfolding before him. Continuing to immerse for a moment, Lin Yuan opened his eyes. This time I chose to break through to the 7th rank leaning towards immortal path, Lin Yuan thought to himself. The Taoist immortal scripture had been of great help to him, providing 4 additional 7th rank directions, all affected by the immortal cultivation system. Indeed, it's not the 7th rank I desired. After stepping into the 7th rank and sensing many fine details, Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. If it were other path-opening powerhouses, they would now only be able to grit their teeth and continue cultivating forward. Even if dissatisfied, what could they do? Once truly stepping into this realm, both physical body and soul would transform towards this direction, with no way back. But for Lin Yuan, he had the means to return to the main world, able to abandon everything about traversing worlds and return to his own body, bringing back only memories and realm. In the past, this approach was more disadvantages than advantages. After all, laboriously cultivating and traversing worlds for decades or even centuries, only to not bring back any strength? But now, this was Lin Yuan's biggest confidence in exploring the paths of the 7th rank. As long as the path is right, the direction is right, what is power? The main world isn't lacking in treasures that accumulate power. After all, having more power also requires the ability to wield it. Temporarily not continuing the cultivation beyond the 7th rank, fully comprehend the paths from the 6th to the 7th rank. Lin Yuan stopped perceiving. The direction he now stood on wasn't one he was satisfied with. Continuing to cultivate and explore was meaningless. However, Lin Yuan seemed to think of something, raised his right hand, and lightly swiped at the air in front of him. A tear was ripped open, revealing the gray and turbid chaotic void flows inside. Breaking the void? A hint of unusual color appeared on Lin Yuan's face. With my current strength, I could actually survive in the chaotic void flows. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment, then stretched his hand into the spatial rift. Soon he pulled it back and found that there weren't any injuries on his arm. The aura of the spirit realm. Lin Yuan continued to sense the spatial rift he had torn open. At immeasurable heights, a vast world like a grand sun released boundless aura. Lin Yuan, having seen the ascension platform through the spirit realm, confirmed that this aura matched that of the ascension platform. Still 40 years of residency time, Lin Yuan glanced at the ethereal font displayed below. Baiyu Island. 200 years had passed. Most of the White Jade Pavilion had already relocated to the central divine continent, where the cultivation environment was much more superior, including the 72 heavenly caves and 108 blessed lands. Now, the number of White Jade Pavilion disciples remaining on Baiyu Island wasn't large. In the core area of Baiyu Island, Lin Yuan's figure appeared. Wuji, how have you come back? Mu Liana was sitting there chatting with Jun Dongjin when she suddenly saw Lin Yuan and immediately stood up. Wuji. Jun Dongjin also stood up, looking at Lin Yuan, his tone somewhat emotional. He had never expected that his youngest son would achieve such great feats, even making the ancestral masters of the spirit realm from the Daoist Immortal sect yield. I just came back to see. Lin Yuan nodded. This would probably be his last visit to Baiyu Island. With only 40 years left to stay, his plan for the first 10 years was to continue traveling the world, and afterwards, he planned to attempt leaving this realm to explore the chaotic void beyond the realms. During his time in the Divine Arms world, Lin Yuan had faced spatial rifts, and even with his against heaven's understanding, his comprehension was not very good. But now being at the 7th rank, his perspective on the chaotic void within the spatial rifts had many flashes of spiritual light. This was the difference brought about by varying strengths and the heights from which they stood. Afterward, Lin Yuan chatted with his parents for a while. Wu Ji, Mu Lianer felt vaguely sad, sensing that the number of times she would see Wu Ji may not be many. These are 2 sets of resources for breakthrough to the refined void period. With a thought from Lin Yuan, 2 storage rings appeared in front of him. Over the years, Lin Yuan had traveled the world, reaching the heavens and plumbing the depths, naturally finding quite a few treasures. Those treasures and resources were of no use to Lin Yuan anymore but had been collected, and now was the perfect time to give them to his parents. With these resources, breaking through to the refined void period should be no problem. Then, Mom and Dad, you can use the ascension platform of the Daoist Immortal sect to enter the spirit realm. Lin Yuan spoke. His eldest brother, Jun Xiaoyao, was already being groomed as the next sect master of the Daoist Immortal sect, and his breakthrough to the refined void period should be no problem. And for his second sister, Lin Yuan had also left a set of resources for her to break through to the refined void period. This was the last thing Lin Yuan could do. Wuji, Jun Dongjin wanted to say something but hesitated. He always felt that his youngest son was preparing for his later affairs. But with Wuji's strength, who could make him prepare for such matters? Wuji, are you preparing to ascend to the spirit realm? Jun Dongjin tentatively asked. Somewhat. Lin Yuan nodded. His ascension was not meant for the spirit realm but rather for the even vaster main world. Time passed. Another decade went by. The northernmost peak. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. I've wandered around a few more times. There's nothing left to see. Lin Yuan lifted his right hand and gently swept through the air in front of him. Slit. A several-meter-long spatial rift appeared. Lin Yuan gazed into the spatial rift. Your understanding is against heaven, observing the chaotic void, deepening your comprehension of the essence of space. Your understanding is against heaven, observing the chaotic void, deepening your comprehension of the essence of space. Your understanding is against heaven, observing the chaotic void, continuing to refine the martial arts evolution system. Outside the central divine China world, Lin Yuan's figure appeared. The terrifying chaotic void streams, upon reaching within several meters of Lin Yuan, all dissipated. So this is space? Violent, sharp, destroying everything? Lin Yuan felt somewhat shocked. Within the world, space is stable, orderly, and capable of nurturing abundant life. But outside of the world, space is filled with extreme destructive power. This contrast between what was before and after deepened Lin Yuan's understanding of the power of space. Just like that, Lin Yuan drifted alone within the chaotic void outside of the world. Until 30 years later. Deep within his mind, the door to the myriad realms shone brightly. Chapter 285 Gains, Upload, The Conclusion of the Heiyu Family, please subscribe. Qikuan Main Star. Deep within the 13 peaks, in the palace. Lin Yuan slowly opened his eyes. Finally back. Looking around at the familiar scene, Lin Yuan let out a sigh of relief. The 500 years in the Central Earth world had a significant impact on Lin Yuan, especially the last step into the 7th rank realm, even if it wasn't the 7th rank that Lin Yuan desired. But it let Lin Yuan witness scenes he had never been able to access before. The higher one stands, the farther and wider one sees. I hope this backup plan will never be needed, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Before leaving, Lin Yuan had made a special trip back to the Central Divine Continent, and had carefully placed his physical body in a secret location. Only then did his consciousness return. The purpose of this action was to ensure that if he ever returned to the Central Earth world one day, he could directly take over the body he had left behind and grasp the world's strongest power at the fastest speed. After breaking through to the 6th rank, more functions of the door to the myriad realms appeared, including the ability to return to worlds he had previously traversed. But even if he were to return, Lin Yuan would choose consciousness descent, because to move the physical body is both risky and consumes more world-breaking origin force. With consciousness descent, one can only start from the beginning of cultivation. Regardless of how high one's realm is, it will require time to progress step by step. But with his body left behind, everything becomes simple. One merely needs to detach the consciousness, enter the body, and then regain the strongest power in the Central Earth world. Of course, although he had left this backup plan, Lin Yuan did not wish for it to be used. Because that would mean something unpredictable had happened in the Central Earth world, posing a danger that could overturn the martial Tao cultivation system. Descending again into the Central Earth world requires the expenditure of 10 strands of world-breaking origin force. Unless absolutely necessary, Lin Yuan wouldn't choose to do this. The spirit realm. Lin Yuan's expression fell into brief contemplation. In the last 30 years of his stay, Lin Yuan roamed alone in the space-time chaos outside the world, and had also gazed at the enormous spirit realm located above from a distance. It was an entity far surpassing the Central Earth world, and the myriad auras it emitted fell like radiation, firmly locking down millions of lower realms including the Central Earth world. It's a pity, ascending directly to the spirit realm is still too risky. There's no need to do that. Lin Yuan thought to himself. The spirit realm's world hierarchy is very high. This is unquestionable, where there are beings comparable to the 8th layer of the main world, immortal king-level powerhouses, and even existences beyond the immortal king level. If Lin Yuan were to enter the spirit realm as a Dao integration stage ascender, he would certainly attract a lot of attention. In such a situation, even if Lin Yuan were only a consciousness descent, unafraid of death, he could not guarantee absolute safety. In front of those true powerhouses, even if Lin Yuan wanted to die, it wouldn't necessarily be possible. He could be subjected to soul search and risk exposing information about the main world. Furthermore, the reason Lin Yuan hadn't entered the spirit realm through the ascension platform was virtually the same. The Azure ancestor from the Daoist Immortal sect, although bound by a Dao oath in front of him, would still be a cause for concern should Lin Yuan truly ascend to the spirit realm and fall into the hands of those Dao integration immortals. Unforeseen incidents could occur. Lin Yuan has never allowed himself to be in a passive position. Besides, with the coordinates of the spirit realm, Lin Yuan could enter unnoticeably, without having to take risks. At least, as long as he has not entered the spirit realm through the ascension platform, the martial Tao cultivation system of the Central Earth world is unlikely to be suppressed. At least the immortal sex ancestors from the upper worlds will be wary of the possibility of Lin Yuan suddenly appearing. Forget about these things. Lin Yuan collected his thoughts and no longer focused on the affairs of the Central Divine China world. Now that he had left, it was pointless to think too much. Regarding the gains from this transference, Lin Yuan was in a good mood. In 500 years in the Central Earth world, not only had Lin Yuan reached the pinnacle of the 6th rank, but he had also fully explored a path to the 7th rank. One must know, evolvers in the main world striving to step into the 7th rank often paid an unknown price, evolving their own paths, achieving flesh-soul perfection, and so on. Members of the Red Kuan lineage, the 4th, 5th, 6th, to the 12th disciples of the Chikuan Star Lord, were all true evolution geniuses, plus they had the guidance of the Star Lord, but were still stuck at the 6th rank. Is it because these brothers are not capable? Not at all, but the difficulty of stepping from the 6th rank into the 7th rank is immense. This transition is a metamorphosis of the essence of life, which is even more challenging than the leap from the 5th rank to the 6th rank. Lin Yuan deeply understood this. After forcibly stepping into the 7th rank, he too felt the gap between realms. Space. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. In the last few decades of the 5th transference, Lin Yuan's insight into space soared like a rocket. In the space-time chaos, Lin Yuan saw another side of space, one filled with destruction, and compared it with the calm, stable, and orderly space of the main world. Under the contemplation of Against Heaven's Understanding, Lin Yuan reached directly to the essence of space. It can be said that this transference brought Lin Yuan greater gains in the aspect of space rules than stepping into the 7th rank. I can feel that the 7th rank martial Tao I desire relates to space rules, but I still haven't devised a satisfactory 7th rank chapter because my understanding of space rules is not deep enough, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Space rules are vast and are the underlying rules supporting the world. The more Lin Yuan comprehends, the more he feels his insignificance in the realm of space rules. If before Lin Yuan was looking at the sky through the opening of a well that was space rules, then now Lin Yuan had climbed out of the well to see an even more boundless expanse of the sky. Chapter 286 Harvest, Upload, The End of the Heiyu Family, please subscribe, _2. Ponder slowly. I'm not in a hurry. Lin Yuan thought for a while and said, although I have not comprehended the perfect 7th-stage martial Tao chapter, the 6th-stage chapter is almost ready. I might as well organize it and upload it to the Goddess of Wisdom. Lin Yuan rubbed his forehead. The 6th-stage martial Tao chapter incorporated the deep excavation of the physical body by the body cultivation lineage. Theoretically, an evolver who cultivated to the 6th-stage martial Tao had the potential to give birth to a physical body divine ability. Of course, which physical body divine ability would emerge depended entirely on the fragments of divine skills deep within one's own bloodline. But no matter what, even if it was just an auxiliary physical body divine ability, it would be very useful to an evolver. Unlike secret techniques, invoking divine skills didn't require any specific conditions. One could activate them with just a thought. Blood rebirth. The breath within Lin Yuan's body began to change, as streams of blood interwove and clashed, vaguely forming a mysterious pattern. It was the blood divine skill that Lin Yuan had comprehended in the Central Earth world after paying a huge price, and then deduced according to the physical body of the main world. This technique was only applicable to Lin Yuan. Even if someone else acquired it, they wouldn't be able to form the technique imprint. Strictly speaking, can this physical body of mine also condense a new physical body divine ability? Lin Yuan pondered to himself. After all, the primordial spirit of his current body was just at the beginning of the 6th rank. If he completed the 6th rank chapter he had developed, it would naturally give birth to a new physical body divine ability. He'll try it later. First, he'll organize the 6th rank chapter and upload it. Lin Yuan was not in a hurry. A day or two later, Lin Yuan had mostly organized the 6th-stage martial Tao chapter, making it more suitable for the human race of the main world. He then connected to the Goddess of Wisdom. Respected citizen Lin Yuan, the Goddess of Wisdom is pleased to serve you. The solemn and cool voice of the Goddess of Wisdom came through. I want to upload the 6th rank chapter of the Martial Path Evolutionary Path. Having said that, Lin Yuan began uploading the content of the 6th rank chapter. Citizen Lin Yuan, please wait, the Goddess of Wisdom is making a full assessment. the goddess of wisdom received the 6th stage martial Tao chapter and immediately began the assessment. Actually, the immortal cultivation system has never appeared in the main world before. Lin Yuan seemed to have thought of something. He could definitely upload the immortal cultivation system to the goddess of wisdom in exchange for rewards. But Lin Yuan thought for a while and gave up that idea. The immortal cultivation system was surely established by some other entity. If he were to spread it in the main world, wouldn't he be assisting the entity that created the immortal path system? Spreading one's own evolutionary path or cultivation system was related to the ultimate leap. In this regard, Lin Yuan naturally didn't want to labor in vain. Besides, the immortal cultivation system might have a high ceiling, reaching the 7th rank, 8th rank, or even the 9th rank. But it came with great limitations such as the need for spiritual energy or a spirit root. In the main world's cosmic starry sky, many forms of energy were diffused, but those similar to spiritual energy were not plentiful. The most crucial point was still the spirit root. At least according to Lin Yuan's knowledge, the human race in the main world did not possess such a concept. If Lin Yuan were to upload the immortal cultivation system, the first thing he would need to do would be to adapt the immortal cultivation system to fit the human race of the main world. That meant he would have to deduce an alternative to the spirit root. The cost of this was too great. With the time and effort, Lin Yuan would rather continue to comprehend the martial arts evolution system, elevating it to the next level, which was far more worthwhile than the former. While waiting for the final assessment from the goddess of wisdom, Lin Yuan began to check other information. While 500 years had passed in the Central Earth world, only just under 4 months had gone by in the main world. Lin Yuan pulled up the record of events and gave it a cursory look. Wanyang Holy Sun. Lin Yuan noted that Wanyang Holy Sun sent him a message a month ago. The general idea was he had already broken through to the 6th rank and hoped to spar with Lin Yuan again. Wanyang Holy Sun, a rare owner of the 9-yang divine meridian and who had spent a century sleeping in the depths of a star, had very profound foundations that could only truly manifest at the 6th rank. At the peak of the 5th rank, Lin Yuan had fought with Wanyang Holy Sun and ultimately crushed him. Wanyang Holy Sun still remembered this incident to this day. He was aware that Lin Yuan's path of evolution was special, with perfect soul fusion, which greatly enhanced his combat power. However, at the 6th rank, it wasn't just the evolutionary path that mattered, but also one's physical constitution and foundations. After his breakthrough to the 6th rank, Wanyang Holy Sun felt a qualitative change in his strength, regained confidence, and wanted to find Lin Yuan for a rematch to wash away his past shame. He had never defeated Lin Yuan, but at least he shouldn't be overwhelmed like before, allowing Lin Yuan to make him admit defeat with just a few slaps. To spar with me, Lin Yuan suddenly fell silent. In Wanyang Holy Sun's eyes, Lin Yuan had just stepped into the 6th stage martial Tao, so he felt confident in challenging him. But in reality, Lin Yuan at this moment had already reached the pinnacle of 6th stage martial Tao, and even embarked on a path towards the 7th stage. The gap between him and Wanyang Holy Sun was far greater than when they were both at the pinnacle of the 5th stage martial Tao, by countless times. At the pinnacle of the 5th stage martial Tao, Wanyang Holy Sun could still withstand a few slaps from Lin Yuan. But now, forget it. There's no need to waste time. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. With his current strength, sparring with Wanyang Holy Sun was simply bullying. He had sparred with Wanyang Holy Sun before because he could gain insights during the process of sparring from the other party. Now the gap between them was too great, and there was no comparability. After replying to Wanyang Holy Sun with, "I don't have time recently," Lin Yuan continued browsing through the subsequent messages. The Heiyu family. Lin Yuan saw several messages his senior brothers had sent him. Because he had instructed them to enter seclusion before shuttling through space, his senior brothers just left him messages. The Heiyu family colluded with different species? Lin Yuan's expression became strange. Before revealing his identity as Peak Master Shirsan, Lin Yuan had some conflicts with Heiyu Ao of the Heiyu family. Subsequently, Heiyu Ao had used the influence of the Heiyu family to suppress Lin Yuan. After Lin Yuan broke through to the 6th stage and revealed his identity, the Heiyu family became fearful, with Heyu Mo bringing Heyu Ao personally to the Qikuan main star to see him, hoping to apologize. But at the time, Lin Yuan was busy embedding his life mark into the cosmic starry skies and did not bother with them. Later, when his senior brothers asked for Lin Yuan's opinion, Lin Yuan stated that he did not intend to make amends with the Heyu family. With Lin Yuan's word, his senior brothers had a plan in mind, intending to oppress the Heyu family through various means and completely cause their downfall. This was the fate of offending a peak master of the Qikuan lineage. Even the Qikuan star domain's top 5 forces were essentially dogs raised by the Qikuan lineage, and while other matters can be discussed, if they dared to bite their master, they wouldn't have a reason to exist. Originally, according to the second senior brother's intention, it was to harass the Heyu family and conduct a thorough investigation. After all, a force like the Heyu family that had been established for hundreds of thousands of years couldn't withstand close scrutiny. They could find an excuse anytime. Out of respect for Lin Yuan, the second senior brother personally took charge of the investigation into the Heyu family. However, upon investigation, the second senior brother discovered an issue. The Heyu family was suspected of having had contacts with a different species. The second brother had not found concrete evidence of the Heyu family's contacts with different species. But some things don't require evidence. Once the second brother discovered this, he immediately planned to take control of Heyu Mo. In any case, he planned to take away Heyu Mo, the highest authority of the Heyu family, first. To be cautious, the second brother secretly contacted the Qikuan Star Lord. Under the watchful eyes of the Qikuan Star Lord, Heyu Mo had no room to resist. After being taken away, he was subjected to a soul search by the Human Alliance's specialized 8th layer evolver in soul abilities. For a strong individual like Heyu Mo, who could control his own memories, ordinary soul searches were useless. But an 8th layer evolver in soul abilities could construct a vast, illusory world where all memories from Heyu Mo's life would unfold within that phony realm. Such a method could only be performed by an 8th layer evolver in soul abilities, and such powerful beings were extremely rare. The Heyu family is finished. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. If they had only offended him, the Heyu family would be merely declining and could gracefully exit the stage. After all, the laws of the Human Alliance still stood, and it wasn't possible to let such a large family succumb to mishap. Lin Yuan's senior brothers, in dealing with the Heyu family, only took actions that were investigative and adhered to the Alliance's legal provisions. But colluding with a different species, that was tantamount to betraying the Human Alliance. Regardless of whether the other clansmen of the Heyu family knew or not, they were finished. While Lin Yuan was reflecting on this, a solemn and cold voice came through. Respected 6th rank citizen Lin Yuan, the 6th rank chapter you uploaded has been judged as complete. The voice of the goddess of wisdom rang out. Chapter 287 Chapter 287 Chapter 2 Qikuan Star Lord. Good disciple, your question is a bit beyond the scope. Please subscribe. Judgment complete? A smile spread across Lin Yuan's face. Each time he returned, he immediately uploaded the subsequent chapters of the newly pioneered martial Tao evolution path to the Goddess of Wisdom. Aside from receiving a bounty of merit points and better dissemination of the martial Tao evolution path, it was to take advantage of the Goddess of Wisdom's immense computational power to see the potential of the submitted chapters. The potential of an evolution path involves various aspects and is very difficult to estimate. Even the Goddess of Wisdom and the other 2 goddesses can only deduce it approximately. But that was enough. Among the vast ocean of evolution paths collected by the Cosmic Human Alliance, the final judgments made by the Goddess of Wisdom and the other 2 goddesses still carry significant reference value. In simple terms, if the Goddess of Wisdom judges the potential of an evolution path to be low, it might not be accurate, but if the Goddess of Wisdom determines the potential of an evolution path to be high, it is certainly not far off. Respected 6th level citizen Lin Yuan, based on the final judgment, the Martial Tao Evolution Path 6th tier chapter you uploaded is valued at 400,000 merit points. 400,000 merit points? Lin Yuan was quite satisfied in his heart. The last update of the Martial Tao Evolution Path, which involved a comprehensive re-upload after perfecting the second layer chapter, third tier chapter, fourth rank chapter, and fifth stage section, had garnered a reward of only 500,000 merit points. This time, just for uploading the sixth tier chapter, the value reached 400,000 merit points, which was already very high. One must know 400,000 merit points were equivalent to the value of slaying almost half an 8th layer alien strong one. On the battlefields of different races, killing an 8th rank alien strong ones usually yielded a merit point reward of only 1,000,000. And were 8th layer alien strong ones so easy to kill? Defeating one might be possible, but slaying one was as difficult as ascending to heaven. 8th rank alien strong ones are the foundation of the various races, and most have life-saving cards. The Chikuan Star Lord, who is as strong as they come, struggles to kill an 8th rank alien on the alien race battlefield. And those 8th rank alien strong ones are not fools, they will definitely flee if they find themselves unable to win. To go from a 6th level citizen to a 7th level citizen requires 2 million merit points. Lin Yuan glanced at the merit point requirement for the next citizen level upgrade and shook his head. 2 million merit points? It was an astronomical figure. Not just for other evolvers, even Lin Yuan felt a tingling in his scalp. A typical 7th rank evolver might sit on the battlefield of different races for tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of years without being able to accumulate such a massive amount of merit points. The battlefield of different species is extremely dangerous, with human race evolvers fighting alien strong ones, constantly at risk of losing their lives. Although, evolvers of the 6th rank and above have the right to resurrection, if you don't have potential, who would resurrect you? Most 6th rank and 7th rank evolvers, once dead, are truly dead. Forget it. Lin Yuan had no plans on becoming a 7th level citizen in the short term, probably not until he could create the martial Tao evolution path 7th stage before he could meet the requirement of becoming a 7th level citizen. Let's see the latest evaluation of the martial arts evolution system. Lin Yuan began to flip through the information related to the martial Tao evolution path. Every time the goddess of wisdom reassessed the martial Tao evolution path, she would update Lin Yuan's data first. As for other citizens or evolvers, they had to wait until the rankings update at dawn to see any updated changes to the martial Tao evolution path. The probability of advancing to the 7th rank is 60%. The probability of advancing to the 9th rank evolution path is 20%. Not bad, Lin Yuan nodded slightly. Before uploading the 6th rank chapter, the probability of the martial Tao evolution path advancing to the 7th rank was only 30%. The probability of reaching the 9th rank was only 10%. Now both have doubled. Especially the fact that there is a 20% chance of advancing to the 8th rank. One must know whether a new 8th rank evolution path is opened is a key judgment for the cosmic alliance of human civilizations in determining if one can become a great scholar of evolution. Now, the martial Tao evolution path has a 20% chance of advancing to the 8th rank. Its potential is extremely tremendous. The 9th stage evolution path. Lin Yuan's thoughts drifted. So far, the martial Tao evolution path had no chance of advancing to the 9th rank. Now, where would the martial Tao evolution path rank on the Chikuan evolution rankings? Lin Yuan continued to view the updated martial Tao evolution path, opening the rankings section. Ranked 1st on the Kanglin evolution ranking. Ranked 6th on the Chikuan evolution rankings. 6th. Lin Yuan's heart stirred. After the last perfection of the martial Tao evolution path, once it was no longer limited to Taiyin and Taiyang, it broke into the 12th spot on the Chikuan evolution rankings. Now the uploaded 6th tier chapter has directly broken into the 6th place. One must know that the evolution paths in the top 10 of the Chikuan evolution rankings are all 7th rank evolution paths with hopes of ascending to the 8th rank. And the top 3 evolution paths of the Chikuan evolution rankings are all 8th rank evolution paths. Over the hundreds of thousands to millions of years of Chikuan star domain's history, only 3 great scholars of evolution have been born. And these 3 8th rank evolution paths have all come from the hands of these great scholars. The number of great scholars is far rarer than that of 8th rank evolvers. Having seen the ranking of the martial Tao evolution path, Lin Yuan glanced at the approximate number of evolvers currently practicing the martial Tao evolution path. First tier chapter, 97,323 people. Second layer chapter, 32,600 people. Third rank chapter, 136 people. Fourth rank chapter, 0 people. Not bad. In just over a year, the number of evolvers in the first tier and second layer chapters has grown 2 to 3 times, and more than 100 evolvers have started practicing the third rank chapter. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.